Hello and welcome to unMadeGaming, guys. It is Wednesday, and that means Blades in the Dark, 6 and 20, the Shroud. Longest title for the best crew in Doskvol. And we're back. Unlike every other crew who has missed days, we are reigning supreme in both monetary value, lore, story, prowess, amazing skill. I could go on and on about the Shroud, but instead I'm going to toss it over to the star of the opening of today's show, with a mouthful of food. Miss Ginger Ninja, who are you? What are you doing here? And what's in your mouth? Everyone look at her.
That is something that OC does not get asked very often, surprisingly enough. I'm Miss Ginger Ninja. I run a gaming channel. I play D&D on here. I play on Hello Sweetie's channel. And we're going to be syncing back up with OC and seeing, is she going to die? Are ninjas going to descend from the ceiling and kill us? Will I stop asking questions?
Probably not.
I'm going to go back to eating my
Probably not
dinner.
most of those things. And here, after a crushing defeat at soccer, and for more crushing defeat of this game, we'll go over to Greg, Grimjack21502. Who are you? What are you doing here? And how else can we disappoint you tonight?
Greg, Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter. My son lost his semifinal soccer game tonight, 2-1. It was a battle of warrior poets, but I am here to avenge that loss by continuing in the miserable city known as Doskvol. But I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm ready for some kung fu action theater and this showdown of schools and disciplines. Let's do it, guys.
I'm excited. And someone who avoided death just 1 week ago and may find it tonight. Slade, who are you? What are you doing here? And how am I going to kill Bowerstone?
Slade, Crit Dice Gaming. How are you going to kill him? Probably by talking with the enemy. Yes, I'm coming back as Reymond Bowerstone. I'm having my fingers in all the pies, and I'm enjoying it.
Is everyone else? No. Okay, that's what I thought. And here to rein us in, confuse us, boggle the mind, and challenge us in as many ways as he possibly can. Johnny, who are you? What are you doing here? And how do you plan to fuck us tonight?
My name is Johnny. I run the VideostoreCowboy channel. I'm also the GM for 6 and 20. If you're watching this, you know what 6 and 20 is, but it's like a nice, neat thing that happens on a couple of channels where we play in a collaborative world. And how am I going to screw you tonight? That really depends on the answer to a couple of questions as we get started. First, Reymond, would you like to talk about a little situation that happened last week on Phantom?
No.
Are you sure? Because it was quite amusing.
It was, and can I just say, Speedy and Joff, you put up quite a fight with those negotiations, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I was last week on Not So Speedrun's channel. I went over there spontaneously to have a negotiation between our two crews, and it somewhat resulted in an exchange of information rather than a trade of sorts. And now I return back to my home team to discuss further things of how it's going to go.
Okay, so that conversation had no relevance on what's currently going on right now in the situation that you and OC and Nyx and Steam are all involved in. But it may have ramifications on things that happen after that. So, where we last found you all, you were walking into essentially the Lion's Den, in a sense, with starting a negotiation process, essentially a social engagement as a score, specifically for talking to the Red Sashes. And so you went to the Eruvian School of Swordplay in Crow's Nest, in Crowsfoot. Sorry, not Crow's Nest. And you walked into this. You walked into the school, and there was lots of demonstration and pomp and circumstance, essentially, for you all being there, right? You were, there was essentially an honor guard of students from the school as you all walked in. You came into essentially one of the larger, what would be the equivalent of a gymnasium, watching a number of students, or what you thought were students, squaring off, but it was obvious, according to what OC saw, that they had more skill than they were letting on. And it was at the introduction of Reymond Bowerstone to Mylera, that he immediately shifts the focus and introduces Orange Crush. And it was when Mylera approached OC to greet her, OC responded with a very familiar shake that is a representation of not only the Aruvian school's teachings, but specifically a master to master kind of a greeting. Can you describe real quickly what that exchange was?
It's usually looking directly in the other master's face and locking arms almost like right before your elbow. And she had her sash intentionally wrapped around her wrist so that she would have to, it would be noticeable for her without being flaunting it or being,
Right. And so it was at that handshake that Mylera was taken back a little bit, and she looked like she was about to speak. And so that's where we open up. That's where we fade into tonight. And as she looks at you with recognition, OC, she begins to speak and she says, "Well, Mr. Bowerstone, you've brought somebody interesting. Are you afraid that there's going to be a fight?" And she hasn't let OC's arm go yet.
Not at all, my dear. But I thought you two should be reacquainted before we had any negotiations.
Clearly. And at that, OC, you notice that her other hand is beginning to move behind her back, as if she's reaching for a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
How do you react?
Go into a hug and whisper in her ear.
What do you whisper?
The arms are linked and she's just going to pull her closer slowly, not abruptly to scare her, but slowly. There's no need for that. In due time. And back up.
And she holds you in an embrace, and you feel the blade against your belly.
Okay. She's going to smile. Not to be rude, not to be just like a, you can do whatever you're going to do, but I'm just standing here type of.
She pushes you back, spins around, and her sword is in her hand with her dagger in her other hand.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in a ready position. A master does not enter my school, my location, my place, and not honor me with a little bit of a challenge. And she moves to lunge.
She'll sidestep.
Okay.
OC is all about momentum. So she has her hand on her weapon, but she's just going to sidestep out of the way. And give herself
roll to resist getting stabbed.
Okay.
So just from a mechanical perspective, just to explain what's going on, guys. This is a skilled NPC. This is a skilled opponent for you. It's not obvious what her intent is yet, but it's clear that when she makes a move, sometimes you're going to have to resist, and sometimes you're going to have to roll to get through her defenses.
Okay.
So if we'll start a progress clock if it comes up that there's a requirement for that. Say, for example, if you get on the offensive and you need to work through her defenses, or however this proceeds out, there may be a means for you to work through and defeat her if that's what's going to happen. But so we're going to play this out narratively until we can't do that anymore. But to resist this particular attack, you would just roll. I guess your prowess would be probably the best thing.
Skirmish?
No, this is a resistance roll. This is not
just prowess. Okay, straight prowess.
Yeah.
I did not know. I've never had to do that before, so I didn't know that was a thing, guys.
Yeah, so when you're resisting, when you're being attacked by somebody who is skilled, they're going to say what they're going to do. That action is going to happen, and then you can resist that and then make your attack.
Okay.
Or make whatever move you're going to do after that. And so it goes back and forth.
No bonus dice, just resisting. Just a straight.
So
I would know this, right? Would I know that?
Well, this is an unexpected situation, but you would know that it is common that masters challenge each other upon coming in, it's like a recognition thing. It's almost a ritual. You realize that it's not necessarily threatening yet, but that it's something that's very common.
Okay, so can I get a bonus dice just for being slightly aware and not 100% caught off guard?
Yes, sure. One additional die. Excellent. Okay, so she comes in with a lunge, and how do you escape out of that lunge? Like how do you parry or whatever?
She is literally just going to scoot to the side in a quick, like, you know how they make you run, like, gallop sideways in gym class? She's going to do that and just get at a distance, so if she tries to attack again, she has time to respond. She's just dodging at this point.
Okay, and so with that, she lunges in, you move off to the side, she spins, and the dagger is immediately being thrown at you. Roll to resist again.
Okay.
Negotiations are going well.
6.
Wow, RNG is on
I've
your
been
side.
practicing.
So
spreads.
The moves are familiar for you, right? These are very basic moves. It's almost as if she's testing your ability to recognize the basic forms of the swordplay. When she spins, you notice that her wrist, her left hand with the dagger, moves in such a way that it's obvious she's going to throw. And so when she throws that blade, you just how do you avoid the dagger coming at you? Okay, so it's that with that head motion, it's almost like you're patronizing her a little bit. Is that the impression
I'm
that
not trying to
getting?
patronize. I'm not going to waste energy in a fight. It's what she would do if she had seen her being trained when she grew up.
Right.
Everyone has their own little something that they're good at, or something that, like, a signature move, or something that they pick up along the way, whether it's from their master or watching other people or whatever it is. And hers is she was a child when she started training, and wasn't like a tall, muscular child. So she used her being small just to her advantage. Almost.
Excellent. Okay. And so as she does that, the dagger's coming at you. You're distracted for a little bit of a second, and you just, it comes, you do the avoiding maneuver, and she begins to close the distance, right? And so when she does, she comes in at you with a slash this time, and it's meant to go just basically across your chest in a kind of a swiping motion. So go ahead and resist for one more time.
Could I counter it? If I have now seen her attack twice, could I maybe counter it? I want to wrap my sash around the blade and grab her. I want to use her, like, let her go past, like, let her, like, start to go towards me, and just, like, If not, I'll just make that my next attack once I dodge this. Or my move, or whatever.
What does the table think? Because there's one or two things that can go on here. We can add an additional dive because she's actually intending to do something else, but I still think the resistance, because of the way the mechanics work, and because this is a skilled master and she's going up against a skilled master and she's a skilled master, I think there's still some level of resistance that needs to happen, but she'll get an additional die for the intent to do something more, or she'll resist and we'll just go straight into an attack. What do you guys think?
I think OC should have the ability to either pass it or attack in between each of her attacks.
Well, she has had the opportunity to do that, right? And each time she's escaped, she's just kind of sat back and just kind of
not after the
let the next step
after
happen.
The first one, yeah.
Right, exactly. So this is in each occurrence, she's been given an opportunity and she's about to take it, right? So
I'll roll one more and then do a count, which is not going to be an attack. It's going to be a disarm.
Right, and that's perfectly, that'll still be a roll. It'll probably be skirmish. So go ahead and roll your defense or your resistance.
Before she does it, can I put this out? If she agrees to pass on her attack and do a defense again, could she gain a die on her attack as if she's using momentum, keeping her moving to finally strike?
Sure, absolutely. Right,
Like,
that makes a lot of sense.
Using my training of, like, eventually she's going to get tired, type thing.
She's gonna make a mistake, yeah.
Sure.
So that's for my next attack, not for now.
Right. So
Okay.
I think what he's suggesting is that you do the defense and then you attack. Okay. So she's going to come in and she's going to barely clip you, right? It's just going to go. 'Cause you said that you were wearing the training garb, right?
Mhm.
Last time.
Yeah.
Okay. So when she gets you, it just kind of slices through it a little bit. You don't get hurt. Like there's no damage that you take. But this was your training garb, and it is now damaged.
Which is why she would now react.
Right.
That makes
exactly.
narrative sense. Why she would be like, I like this shirt.
Absolutely. Okay, so she comes in, she sweeps down like this, and she's exposed right now because her blade is down and she's leaning forward. And she's a little off balance.
I'd like to do sort of like a 2-part deal.
Okay, go for it.
It's already hit me. I'd like to hit her wrist in a vulnerable spot so she drops her sword.
Okay.
While pushing her to the ground. To throw her away from me.
Okay. And you're going to get a bonus die for doing this
like a chop and push.
Right, because you've been doing your defensive moves for the last, essentially 3 attacks that she's given. So you've got some level of an awareness and an advantage in this particular case. So take 1 additional die.
So is this controlled? Oh, sorry.
Position is interesting here.
I have people next to me that will kill her if she starts to hurt me. One of which can go invisible.
You're in a room. You're in a room full of swordsmen, though.
Yeah, but she sucks so far. Like she's not worried.
Okay, well,
I'll say has enough energy that she doesn't. Because what I'm doing, since I've already been cut, how risky is it? Do you know what I mean? I've already been hit. Like this is post. Like worst comes to worst, she's gonna turn around again and attack me, which is what she's gonna do anyway.
I don't think it's a controlled situation because you're not sure of her full extent yet, right? You don't know if she's thrown everything at you.
Okay, so I'll go
because
so
the thing is that it came down to forms, right? Everything that she's done so far you've seen have been basic forms. Mm-hmm. Nothing has been displayed as in a masterful situation essentially. So
she's treating me like a little kid that's first learning how to fight. Pretty much.
Well, no. From a narrative perspective, what this is that as she issued the challenge, she's putting you through the measures to gauge your skill and ability. You shaked as a master. She's just confirming that. She's testing that. You know that has happened in the past. That it's not unusual.
Okay.
And what you're everything
that makes sense.
Okay.
Then.
All right.
I think it's. I don't know what the effect is. I think that proving that I can disarm her is pretty big deal.
I agree that it's at least standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does the rest of the table think? Okay.
Yeah, standard because we haven't seen what she can do yet. This is a testing, a feeling out. This is the first moves of a chess match.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to take +1.
Yep, and take your +1 and go ahead and roll it.
Holy shit.
Ooh.
I'm dead. I died. Bye, guys.
Ooh.
Too bad.
Okay, so describe to me how you were going to disarm her. It was basically you were going to kick her and then you were going to push her off balance, right?
I was going to hit her hand to make her just like a pressure point to make her drop her sword, and then use my other hand to continue her on without the sword.
Okay, so as you begin to lean in to do that, you're sort of caught off balance just a little bit, and her other hand is able to loop around and kind of push you off balance. So you're sent stumbling across the floor, and the swords that the people training for in the background that were sparring in the background, they all have stopped. You heard at some point that the clashing of the blades have stopped among all of those, and they've started to spread out. And you're left stumbling a little bit as you kind of turn, and she sees that you see that she's giving you just a second to catch yourself.
I'm gonna throw my coat off in that 1 second.
Okay.
And pull my sword.
All right.
And start working it in my hand just to get my hands back ready to kind of get back in the zone because I'm tripping.
Okay. And so as you do that, you see her finally raise her blade in a sort of like an on guard kind of a situation. but again, something that is akin to the next form up, the intermediate form, not a beginner form, as she's going to take you to the next level. And so when she moves in this time, she comes in more of a defensive fashion, testing you with that blade. And so go ahead and roll on resistance again.
Nailing the resistance, fucking up the attacks.
There's nothing wrong with...
Ooh. Can I say that I just literally step out of the way again? And that people laugh in the back?
You just critted, so...
That's a redirect, right,
Can
John?
I say something?
It's more than a redirect,
Can
I think.
Can I say something as she swipes at me? One word.
Okay, hold on just a second. And then I want you to describe to me narratively, because I'm going to ask the entire table, and I think that this actually makes this is significant. It's one thing to get a success and to dodge and do all of that. This is a crit. This opens up a huge opportunity for OC. So I think OC, what you need to do is you need to come up with a really interesting narrative result of what that crit actually means. And I think that if you want to ask the table for suggestions, it's perfectly on you to do that, or you can just do it yourself. But you can go ahead with your quippy one-liner.
Okay. I'm going to reveal the name that I gave at this school as she passes by me.
Okay.
Which is Oliver Cyn, C-Y-N, initials OC.
Okay. And so she slips past you. You say that, and what happens next?
Guys, I'm thinking I want to disarm her, because what the fuck's she gonna do? I disarm her and I throw the sword away from her.
So when she comes in, this time she's being more defensive. So she's kind of swiping in, kind of testing the way that OC responds with, her blade, essentially, clashing blades, just kind of making sure that, if she's got her 4 quadrants essentially covered. But when she does that, she overcommits on one, trying to trick OC, and ends up overcompensating. And OC is able to easily get her off balance and kind of, knock her to the side, using her momentum against her. And it's at that moment that OC reveals, the name, the pseudonym that she was using. And so she's kind of off balance and starting to stumble towards the side. Again, OC now has an opportunity for whatever happens next. It's on her to describe.
I'm thinking I disarm her.
Okay.
And I'm just holding 2 swords.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, perfect.
When you say the Oliver Cyn to her, like in the clash, like when you guys lock and,
Remember Oliver?
Right.
That's what she's going to say.
Use the sash that's already on your hand, wrap it around her pommel, and when you spin off, yank your wrist and pull the...
So she goes to stumbling forward, and I have but 2 swords now. That's what I want.
That's so dope.
Okay.
And she's going to be just spinning, the obnoxious, she's not taunting her, but that's what they do when they're getting ready to,
Okay, so when she goes off balance and you throw your sash in and you pull her sword and it comes back to you, how does she end up?
Stumbling and fought like what I did.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So she stumbles and kind of, makes her way across the floor a little bit as her students begin to kind of step back just even a little bit more. And she kind of turns around, rights herself, and bows a little bit. And you know that this bow is between masters, and it is basically like knocking over your king.
Is she yielding?
She is yielding.
She
you
will
took her
bow
sword
her
from
head
her.
and I did. I didn't. Okay, first of all, she could karate kick me. I expect anything when you're DMing, Johnny. I'm ready to ninja this out if I have to.
Which would
have been cool.
Well, we set the story, or we set the narrative as this is a normal thing. So she wasn't. That after when she does that, there's a little bit of a smirk in her face because you realize that she had no intent of actually hurting you, but again, she had to challenge you as is one of the customs, of meeting a master. It's one of the things that you can do. You two haven't met each other as a master in your form, as Orange Crush, as Oliver Cyn, sure, but not necessarily as Orange Crush.
She'll bow her head respectfully, and throw it back as you would pommel first.
And she grabs it out of the air, does a sweeping move, and it goes back into her sheath. And she steps forward again, and she embraces you, and it is a warm embrace. She says, "Welcome, sister."
It's good to be back.
And she says, "Please, come forward." And arm in arm, completely showing that this is okay, that the circumstance is okay. She walks you back over to Reymond, and she says, "Now, why are we having this meeting?"
I assume you've heard what's been going on in the streets, what happened at the rally.
Absolutely.
Bowerstone needs protection, and we need a unified city. We can't do this anymore. Everyone fighting over turf, fighting over product. It's tearing the city apart. I know you yourself have been having issues lately, as have the other crews.
Absolutely. We have suffered greatly. It's somebody that was referred to as Donovans, I believe.
Interesting.
And so, how can we help you, though? You seem to be well protected according to the rumors that we saw, or the rumors of what happened at the gala. And she looks to Reymond. Why do you need our protection?
We're not asking for your protection. We're asking to work together. We're amassing a force with people from each of the crews to unify them. We want people to help fight, and we want to bring you business, and you will be the sole provider of certain goods. We're willing to scratch your back if you scratch ours.
She thinks about that for a second. She looks over at the older gentleman that was standing with her and the young woman. And the older gentleman kind of nods his head. She's like, "I've gotten many strange offers lately. This is incredibly strange. I'll give you that. You weren't the first to come talk to us about it." She starts, kind of, wiggling a little bit. That fight was really kind of sweaty. And she pulls her jerkin off, her training jerkin off. And as she does, she's wearing a shirt under her, but it exposes her arms. And on her arm, you see a brilliant K embossed right here on her arm. Not just a tattoo, but it's embossed. And Reymond recognizes it as the seal of the family keel. She says, "I've already made a deal. So what are you offering me that's better than the deal I've already made?"
If you were at the rally, you would see what they offer you. That family name, and she's just shaking her head. What did she offer you?
"Oh, not that child." She waves her hand, and you see the raised part of her skin where the embossed ghost contract emblem is. And it is in the shape of an ornate K with a series of four corners essentially outlined around it. And she says, "That child, she was touched. She needed help. Tobias, on the other hand, has agreed to give us Crowsfoot."
Crowsfoot is not up for grabs.
Oh, but it is.
As a soul entity?
What are you offering us?
We're offering for your people to stop being slaughtered in the street like lamb. We're offering to help train. I can come back and help. I can bring in numbers. you can work with the other groups and you can be more profitable than ever.
Shakes her head and she says, the crows are basically done. Everything that Gull is doing hasn't succeeded so far. I doubt that the crows will last the month. The lampblacks, on the other hand, they might give us trouble for a little bit of time, but Tobias has definitely promised us a great deal of money. So I ask you again, what are you offering?
When you say money, is he meaning a lump sum or is he meaning a financial future?
He's meaning a guarantee of crow's foot.
Yeah. No disrespect, but
none
we've
taken.
seen his 2 attempts at trying to get the alderman title, as it were, and it hasn't gone down well.
That was his child's ambition, and she screwed it up. Sadly, she botched a really interesting circumstance. Your death was a really neat idea. It rallied the people. I'm impressed. She looks over at OC real quick, and she says, he's not bad, this one. As she looks back at Nyx, knowingly that he's actually the brains behind the operation.
And OC will motion for him to come up.
But what are you offering?
Nyx didn't plan for this.
That's why I like throwing you in there.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, OC show.
Enjoy your stay.
He says, so this Tobias, he offers you this district here.
Mm-hmm.
And what will you do with it that the crows have not? How will you keep everyone in line? How will you run this district on your own?
By making it a Ruvian.
How has that helped you run this temple?
OC's going to laugh at that quietly.
She looks around and waves her hands, and you see that all of the students in that room are now staring specifically at you.
Says you have trained Aruvians here in this temple for so many years, and yet your people were killed in the streets as lambs, as Miss Crush said.
We were arrogant before.
And you're not now?
Not all of our ranks were Ruvian before.
And you think that makes a difference? She's not a Ruvian, and you were just bested in front of all of your men.
Every child is lucky once or twice.
And what makes
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many it takes. The refugees from Aruvia are coming in daily. The train is full of them. The well is failing. So I have plenty of fodder to fight. Again, what are you offering? Because I'll tell you what he's offering. More than money. He's offering opportunities. He's offering to make sure that I will never be challenged again. And all it's going to cost me is one little thing.
And that would be?
And she looks at Reymond.
the death of Bowerstone.
That's what this means.
So if I challenge you here, with no interruptions from your pupils.
The challenge has already happened. We know where that stands. My quarrel isn't with you. You may walk out at any time. Mr. Bowerstone, on the other hand.
You have made. And I just say thank you for telling me and giving me the opportunity to speak before you struck me down.
OC's
He didn't
going to
say
look at
when.
Steam over her shoulder.
He didn't say how I should do it. He didn't even give any instruction other than kill Bowerstone. So I may do it at my leisure.
Oh, it's most kind. I have a question, though. This school, is it a... Forgive me, I'm not too sure on how this works here. Is it a school or is it more of a family?
Depends on your perspective. And he looks over at OC and says, how did you feel here, my dear? I know you had interesting loyalties. Looking at you knowingly.
I did not choose the path that you wanted for me. Because I don't believe in following blindly. And I don't believe in throwing bodies at problems for people that may never give you what they promise. I believe in fighting for what you think is right. Whether it's right or not.
You do know how this works, correct?
Yes. If I were to strike you down, there's no more contract.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. But if I strike him down and Tobias Keel does not deliver, then he suffers, not I.
But what is more important for your family? How do you think your family will prosper in the future?
She looks over to the young woman and says, daughter. And the daughter steps forward and looks at OC and raises her blade.
Slade, there is no play. Okay, outside game. There is no playing this out. She has a knife out, and you're standing there like an asshole.
Yeah.
I
assume
it's
I'm
been
a
played
few
out.
feet back.
You're behind Nyx.
Yeah.
You are behind Nyx, and I believe
Also
Steam is in front of you, right? Steam is like behind you, ready to do the super duper lyric kind of thing.
Can we have a plan session for 2 seconds?
You are definitely able to talk about this, sure.
So the daughter has a knife to
No, the daughter has raised a blade
to
in OC's direction.
Okay.
She's essentially standing across the way. She's basically implying that if there is a challenge, the daughter will step up first.
So she's not honoring me asking her. I want to fight for leadership. She's dead. There's no more arrangement. That's what I'm thinking.
She kills
That's how
Bowerstone,
ghost
there's
contracts work, right? There's no more contract if the person's dead, correct?
Ginger, you probably want to ask about this. What is the honor system like?
Well, I think let's
This
have
is-
that discussion though.
That's kind of what I assumed, is if I challenge her, as she challenged me to test me, but if I actually challenge her, it would be between her and I.
You would have to challenge her for the right to teach your discipline under your tutelage for the school, meaning you're changing the direction and the course of the education of the school. If you're doing by kung fu terms, and then if she would refuse, it's incredibly dishonorable.
So she is not responsible for the school. Remember, she is the leader of the Red Sashes. The Red Sashes are technically different than the Eruvian school.
Yes, but I control all of the people. If I'm in the Red Sashes, I control the Red Sashes if I kill their leader.
No, you do not. Well, so you don't control everybody in this particular school. You do control everybody in the Red Sashes. And but that becomes the question, right? Is that the way that this transacts and that things shift? Because as when you came in with that honor guard, that when you first entered that hall, all of those were students of the school. They were not all Red Sashes. There were initiates or apprentices for the Red Sashes that were in that group. But
But the Red Sashes are controlling them, though, right? To be like, you're going to go out and you're only a Rubian, you're going to fight. That's the Red Sashes doing that, though, right?
Wait a minute, say that again?
The initiative of the school is of train all these people and take over Crowsfoot. Let's just call it that. That's the Red
No, that's
Sashes.
the ambition. That's the Red Sashes ambition.
That's what I'm
yes.
saying. Is if I can challenge the leader, since she's also a master. You said.
Yes, she is. She's a master in the, but she is not the person responsible for the school. So the school. So technically, there is a.
I don't want the school.
Yeah, you could challenge her,
But if I challenge her for the Sashes, the whole directive of the school would be called into question.
No, that's not true at all. That's not the direction of the school is completely separate as we're establishing here. So for meta reasons, the older gentleman is the commandant or the.
I figured that.
Right.
Yeah.
So he is separate. He's there to observe. Right. It's happening in his school, and the Red Sashes use this school often for their own nefarious means.
Yeah.
But they are separate because there is a political reason to do so. Right. There's the Eruvian consulate, and the Eruvian consulate sends their soldiers to train there, specifically so that they can do their job effectively. But the Eruvian consulate and the Eruvian soldiers are separate from the Red Sashes. Some of them are in both, but they are kept distinct and different because it would be seen as bad as a criminal organization.
Yeah.
Right, but everybody knows, right? So it's all about pomp and circumstance in play. So
okay.
So you could challenge her as a master to master.
That's what I meant.
No stakes other than honor.
I don't want to be the leader of the Red Sashes or the school. My goal is to eliminate her and wipe this notion from their head that they have a choice in this, and that they're gonna keep trying to take over the city with a few number, no. That's OC's goal. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's
okay.
She's in the way of Bowerstone breathing right now.
That's one way to put it, I guess. Okay. So what are you going to do then? The young woman has stepped up and raised her blade towards you.
I'm going to challenge my Lyra.
Okay.
I understand she's under her control. She just said sister and the girl came out. So if I challenge her, daughter, whatever, and she comes, if she's not going to go for it, then we're going to fight all of them, I guess, or whoever tries to kill Bowerstone or I. That's pretty much. I'm calling her on it. Are you true to your word as a master, or are you a red sash? Dealing drugs.
Well,
and
okay.
people?
So how are you going to say that then? How are you going to challenge her? Because the young woman has stepped up, blade aimed at you. Basically, it's an implication of a challenge without actually issuing a challenge.
Greg, type whatever. Say what you were gonna say before I initiate combat and try to cut this girl's head off.
So he's promised you crow's foot.
The person who hasn't spoken yet is now talking.
Yeah.
Are you talking to her specifically? Okay. She says, yes.
So he's given you a prison.
Opinions vary.
Why stop at crow's foot?
What made you think that?
He said that he would give you crow's foot.
What makes you think that's my only ambition?
What makes you think a man that cannot control his own daughter can offer you anything?
Do you really believe that wasn't his intent?
To show his ass? Interesting.
To have her fail at killing Bowerstone.
I dare say she did not know that.
Pawns usually don't.
Neither do slaves.
At least I'm getting paid well. And
I'm
she
sure
looks over at Bowerstone.
I'm sure she was promised a lot as well. If his daughter's a pawn, what is an Eruvian to him?
She smiles at you, Steam. And then she looks over at the older gentleman and nods her head. And he moves in with a blade and says, "Are you ready, sir?"
Mortals.
So Nick's Christ. So Nick starts talking to Mylera, I think it was, right?
Mylera.
And says, "Rumor has it that you couldn't even deal with a single leather-clad vigilante terrorizing Crow's Foot. This vigilante not only destroyed the bulk of your forces single-handedly, from what I understand, but survived the blast and is back to rain terror across Crow's Foot. If you couldn't deal with one person, what makes you think you could deal with everyone else in this district?"
At that, she snaps her fingers. The doors close behind you.
Nick sighs heavily,
And the blades begin to come out.
and he removes his jacket and hands it to Bowerstone. And then
I remember that episode.
Yep. And then, as if showing off his unique tattoo, he begins removing his shirt and hands that to Bowerstone. And from his elbows up to his back and entirely down his back, there are tick marks, like the one on Sky, covering his entire back. All of them are embossed and raised like hers. And there's a bright blue sparrow on his right forearm, showing that he's covered in ghost contracts.
Okay.
And he pulls out the Bane dagger.
Okay. And she's not phased by your ghost contracts at
That's
all,
fine.
or your dagger.
He just wanted to take his shirt off. It was a little stuffy in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like
what,
he
they
wanted to
closed
get,
the
like, sexy
doors,
time.
They closed the,
It was pretty sexy time.
How many we got
Also,
in here? Johnny, how many are we looking at?
40. Plus
All right. I got
Only
that.
40.
40 plus 3 sword masters.
Mylera, I take this as negotiations are over?
I haven't heard a better offer. I mean, I gave you the terms. She looks...
The offer stands as I kill Tobias and you swear fealty to Alderman Bowerstone, or one of us kills you and takes control by force. The cards are in your hand.
I would also like to remind that the Keel family are not an honorable family. Look at the reputation they have, and you want that attached to you and your family?
She looks at you as you say that, and she looks back over to Nyx and says, "He does know how these things work, doesn't he?"
Yes, she has no choice. So we kill him or we kill her. Those are the two ways of freeing her from this contract.
Oh, I know that, but she doesn't have to fulfill her contract right now. In fact, she could assist us in other ways, and we will free her from her contract.
I am still not hearing an offer that makes...
Oh, I'm just
This
laying on
any
the cards
better
of
than-
what we can do. I'm just cooling things down, as it were. Now, the offer that I can give you: unification in Crow's Foot. And OC, I'm sure you had something in mind that they could flourish in. Something to give them money, as you seem to like that.
What they're doing now on a much larger scale, without
Oh.
trouble from the Bluecoats, or the new militia that's coming, or any of the other crews.
That sounds like a mighty fine deal to me. Less death, unification, more money.
And what are you expecting me to do in return?
Not follow through on your ghost contract. We will take care of him and do
And
it.
that is it. That is all you are asking. That I do not kill Reymond Bowerstone
That no one
today.
under your control or you do anything against us until we can kill him.
No, dear. This is just me.
Yes,
I will
clearly
have to-
just you, because that's how masters fight, behind children.
She moves in for an attack.
Okay.
Roll to defend, or roll to resist.
Sidestep again, and I'm going to ready myself to attack as soon as she attacks after I dodge.
Okay, so this time, the next time that you roll to resist, you're going to find that you're going to be surrounded. So as you move in around, the blades all come in at you. They don't attack you, but the blades are all pointed in your general direction as she moves into the attack again. And this time, she presses with a huge sweeping gesture, kind of bringing it in.
So she
Kinda
attacks
swipes
twice without me responding.
You did said that you wanted to do something when she attacks again. So I'm assuming that
after she attacked again,
Yep.
meaning we were fighting before, and then she
Right.
attacked me, and now I'm going to attack her back after I dodge.
okay, go ahead. But that's
Yeah,
the situation.
I'm not. The only reason I wasn't
there are
fighting
blades.
her
There
before.
are blades now pointing in your
Yeah,
general direction to keep
Yep.
you kind of positioned in,
Yep.
and they are not moving.
Johnny, it for theater of the mind here, is this kind of like a ring with swords, kind of like a lumberjack match?
So we
in
can't get
wrestling?
out.
More so that they are kind of cornering her a little bit without actually interfering. Right? They're keeping her on her toes by keeping her forward, but it's not a ring necessarily.
What about
Although
the
it will
old man?
probably end up being a ring at some point, right?
Okay, but they're not advancing; they're just maintaining.
No,
a
they are.
boundary.
They are not. They are not advancing at this point. No.
That's
They
what he
are
means
just-
by a ring. Like I just can't get out of the circle of people
Yes,
that are now.
that
here.
is absolutely. That is
Yes.
absolutely what's happening.
Okay. All right.
And the old man is not doing anything, is he?
I was moving up next to you, but he's not making any attacks yet. As the people behind you are kind of just like getting into more of an interesting position. They have not brought their blades out yet, too, because the fight has not gotten towards them, towards the front door.
Guys, I didn't do well on my last attack.
Can I? No.
You
Okay.
can't do anything just yet because she just didn't attack. But you didn't. We didn't actually talk about position or effect.
I did standard and risky like I did before. Is that not?
No, because this is a risky situation, and the effect it was going to be limited at this point because you had blades around you, at least in my head. So, and that's when it becomes a discussion, guys. So, since you go ahead and roll, that's fine. How do you attack her? How do you respond?
I move out of the way, and then when she goes past, I try to cut at her back, like at the back of her neck. I'm going for the vital points right now. A quick death.
Hold on a second. So she attacked you. She did a swipe. She missed based on your attack as you sidestepped it, right? And so you're moving in with that attack. And so
It would be me leaning back to just not get swiped across the chest, I'm assuming is where she's going, just a straight
Okay.
slash. And
Okay.
I would just catch her or try to catch her, like leaning back and swipe.
Okay, so as you kind of swipe her, right, you get her across. Where are you aiming for on her, right? She's stepping past you as this is happening, as you kind of sidestep. Where is your slash aiming for? Like what part of her body?
Like the stomach, rib, like somewhere that it would, that midsection, somewhere I can really sink in and slow her down.
Okay, so your slice comes in and it does nick her, and she begins to bleed a little bit across the stomach, but it's not a deep gash. It's not something where it's not something that's going to slow her down yet, right? She's just, you can see that there's blood starting to pool on the shirt that she's wearing, but she shifts, and so the cut doesn't really come, and is not. So it's not overwhelming. It's not something that takes her down, and she kind of shifts around and takes another swipe at you real quick. Just kind of throwing you off guard, and you kind of step back a little bit, and you feel that the blades are right at your back, you're not stepping into them, you're not getting hurt, but you realize that your movement is limited right now, and that you are in a risky, potentially desperate situation for your next roll when you attack. If you don't move as your next action or whatever. So she takes that swipe back, she steps back, and she kind of looks at you for a second. She says, "Are you sure you want to do this? The results will not be what you want."
What I want is to look after my group. You drew blood.
Oh no, clearly you drew blood.
I'm just faster.
And she swipes in again.
Okay.
If I were to do something to interject.
Okay, go ahead. So Reymond,
as
you need
she goes back, he's going to step forward and do another booming Master Mylera.
You don't want to get involved, dude. I'm barely surviving right now, and I'm trained in all the shit. You want to get in the middle?
Well, so she kind of swipes in again, and you're able to, how are you going to get out of it? Because you got blades at your back. You can move left or right, basically, and kind of like sidestep what she's doing again. But if you don't do something profound, like she misses you. Like she misses you, but she kind of nicks you a little bit, but it's not enough where it's even
like more
than
to
a
get
scratch.
Back into the circle?
Yeah, so
if
she
the
kind of
swords are like this and she's coming in like this, I'm just going to whoop.
Okay, so as you do, the last little bit of it kind of nicks you a little bit on the shoulder, and all you feel is like a trickle of blood. It's a barely a wound, but by doing that, you've kind of swooped in behind her and kind of moved that direction, and so now you're facing a number of other blades that are being drawn as they're kind of keeping you in this circle as it becomes more and more. Now, Reymond, you said that. Do you say that as this action is happening, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay. So at that moment, you realize that the young woman is standing next to you, and that her hand is on her blade. And she says, "Shh." As Mylera kind of spins around, kind of sizes you up again for a second and says, "This is your last chance. Blood has been drawn. You can acquiesce and we can negotiate. Or there will be nothing but blood."
I thought you were when you drew blades.
Fine. And she moves in with an all-out attack. Like, she starts doing this weird sweeping motion, kind of just pushing you towards the blades that are behind you. And it's a flurry. This is the first time that she's stepping up as a master. And it's this weird, crazy blur of her blade kind of sweeping back and forth, forcing you to try to either defend against that flurry, or it's going to push you back and have you step back towards the blades. Do remember, though, that you have... Oh, you don't have...
I don't have anything.
Yeah, I was looking at the perks. I just realized. So, Steam's got 3 crits. He could pass you something.
Steam's alright. Didn't you give me a crit last game?
I think you did.
Are you my crit sugar daddy right now?
Wait, Steam. So I had you at 2 at the beginning of this game. Did we used one of those last week, right?
Yeah, I only had one at the start of the game, but I got another one from some wonderful, wonderful person in chat.
I think it was Right gave you one. All right, so let me just correct that. Okay. Anyways, so she's starting to do. She's finally stepping up as a master. You realize that she has been giving you the opportunity to kind of step up and change the narrative, of this conversation. But now it's you've not accepted anymore, and so now it's on.
I mean, she's trying to have a conversation, but the woman's swiping at her, so
Well, you're as
it's hard to think when someone's threatening you and all the people you're with.
Fair enough.
Johnny, do I have it? The old man's beside me, right?
The old man is beside you.
You're gonna crit and kill him? You gonna do it? Is that what you're gonna do?
Steam turns to him and he says, "Do you wish to see all of your students die?"
And he says, "You first." And that's when you feel the blade at your back.
Steam smiles and says, "You believe we are locked in here with you. You're locked in here with us." And I am going to use Devil's Footsteps and crit it, which means I can take out 18 people.
Okay. And do you want to explain what that does?
Yeah, it makes them all kill each other as they try to kill me. So I'm going to start weaving through the 40.
Nobody is trying to kill you right now.
Oh, this old man is. So,
No.
the old
There's a
man's
blade at your back. Nobody is actively attacking you right now.
Oh, I figured. Oh, okay. I thought that the rabble had decided to act up. Okay.
Nobody is actually attacking you yet.
The old man doesn't have a blade to my back?
The old man is standing next to you.
Does the old man have the blade to my back?
No.
Wait. Oh, someone
He
else
didn't-
does.
Somebody else walked up behind you. You didn't see him.
I thought you just said that it was the old man.
I didn't.
I said
see.
the old man was next to him. I said that a blade came to his back when you said that.
Well,
That
we were
doesn't
keep-
necessarily...
Yeah, we were keeping a bubble from the 40 people that were in there. So, I mean,
There was a
The
bubble
sys-
around. You did not see the person come up behind you. Maybe it's a lurk.
interesting. All right. I have a blade at my back.
Okay.
I turn around.
All right. You see quite a young woman with a smile on her face. And she says, "Is it time to go yet?"
Do I recognize this person?
No.
My dear, where you're going, I fear only the spirit wardens will be able to collect you. Put down your blade.
She just smiles at you.
Oh,
Blade
we're
in
making
hand still.
all sorts of friends.
So we're gonna cut back to the action
Yeah.
with OC and my Lyra real quick.
I'll decide
right.
if I want to kill a kid, yeah.
Well,
It's
so
fine.
just to,
It's fine. You're taking over like the responsibilities of like 5 other kids, so kind of.
well, hold on a second. It would only be slightly worse than punching a kid. Let's be honest.
Well, you know how Steam feels about that type of event. That's like
Okay.
right below people that talk in a movie theater. It's
Oh,
like-
it's-
Thank you.
I am right there. I'm right there with you. I won't tell you about my second Blade Runner experience. Anyways, we're gonna cut back to. Before I forget, she's about 15 years old, Steam. So if she's not technically a child, she's definitely a young woman in this world at this point. But so we're gonna cut back to OC as the blades begin to kind of flourish. And again, she's trying to maneuver you back towards in a defensive position against the blades that are coming at you.
Okay.
Kind of holding you in. How do you want to proceed?
Real quick suggestion, Greg. Push her knife into the old guy with your grit. I'm going to stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. You're just stabbing him in
That's
the neck.
cold. That's so cold. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm gonna roll my prowess.
So are you going to dodge the situation, or are you gonna?
I don't want to get stabbed, so.
Okay. Well, she's not stabbing you. She's again. It's this flourish of swordplay where she's kind of slashing at you, but she's not doing it in a way that is doing anything but putting you on the defensive at this point. So you could kind of defend and parry and maybe get out of that, or you might be able to counterattack.
I want to. Her ultimate goal is to get to a position where she's vulnerable and get one clean hit, which is what
Okay.
she does. She bides her time. She's on the defensive without expending too much energy, and then really just goes for it.
Okay, yeah. Then roll a prowess for a resistance on that.
Fuck. Yeah.
What'd you get? Hey, Mike, we're not on the dice screen, by the way. The table screen. Nice. Okay, so
It was.
She kinda-
It was a crit.
yeah, you wish those 2 5s were 6s. So she's coming in with this blade and she's kind of slashing. And when you see her doing this, you see that there is a moment where if you time it just right, you might be able to slip one side or the other around the blade, the fury of blade that's kind of dancing in front of you. So how do you want to dance out of that as she's coming at you?
I'd like to roll it into an attack if I can, and almost like duck under her arm while pushing one of the her blade up to get away, kind of like, excuse me, and like passing by, and then hit her in the back before she can turn around. Or at least the side, or you know what I mean, like an out.
No, I know exactly what you mean, and the flurry of the blades and the way it's dancing. So the only question I have for you before you actually roll it, and I want to answer this question before you roll it because it'll tell me how narratively what will happen, positive and negative. When you dip under and you kind of hit her on the back, are you kind of taking the blade first, like edge first, or are you kind of slapping her in the back, kind of a thing?
And I'm trying to slice her open.
Okay, great. So
through where I would assume I would know where there's a break based on their armor.
Okay, so given the fact that you got a 6, we're not going to call this. We're going to say that this is still desperate, or not. Sorry, desperate. Not. We're going to call this risky because you're still dancing through the blades. But the effect is going to be great, given the circumstances. Because if you can get in on her and you can get behind her sweeping blade, she's not going to have time to recover to be able to defend against your attack.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to ask this question because I haven't asked it yet, and I'm very curious how you'd answer. Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
I would like to push myself.
Okay. So let's go ahead and take 2 stress.
Wish I could push myself twice. Yeah. Okay. 5.
Okay. So, all right. So which side do you go? Do you go right or left side on her as she kind of sweeping around like this?
Which way is closer with swords? I know it's a circle, but like how she's hitting, is she hitting to the left? Because then I would go right.
Well, she's right-handed, and so when she's sweeping her blade, her left hand.
I would go right because it's harder to hit when it's on that side of you to like.
Okay. So I'd imagine that you duck and kind of roll a little bit as you're coming back up. So you duck and roll, and tell me if I'm imagining this wrong. So you roll under one of the swipes as she kind of goes over this way, right? And you just kind of roll through on the right side, spin, and then almost like on one knee on the ground, kind of 1 foot, kind of in a crouch, and you swipe back. Okay, and the blade just kind of slices through at her back, and you hear her go and she's still kind of losing, and she takes out one of her students, or one of the people that it's kind of open the circle, and kind of she mistakenly she just kind of stumbles and slices, and there is blood starting to spurt everywhere because she nicks him on the neck, and the jugular is starting to spurt, and so there's blood just kind of spurting everywhere as the body falls, and she kind of slips and goes past and starts to right herself, and you see that there is a little bit of blood beginning to trickle from her back as well as she kind of spins, and you definitely have nailed her. Your position on her or effect will be either controlled or great. In any case moving forward. It all depends on how you want to where do you want the most benefit out of it, because she's clearly wounded.
So I have a question. If she's able to, and you can tell me, I don't know how it works, can I throw in a throwing knife and then attack her with a sword as a distraction? To use it to it doesn't have to hit her, it's just to be like, oh, that's a knife, and then her get, like, it's a +1 to distract.
Describe it from a narrative perspective, and we can decide what the mechanical benefits are, or what the mechanical elements are.
She has her sword up in a ready position, reaches into her shirt, throws a knife to distract her, and then attacks almost immediately after. It's just to distract her.
Okay. How do you go about? So the blade goes out. How do you move into for the attack?
Low, from low to high. So if she goes to swing at me, I still have my knees to.
There's a fair bit of distance between the two of you, because like remember I said she swipes that guy, she kind of stumbled and spun around as she's kind of just.
I would round her on the side that's not the floor is not covered in blood and slippery.
Okay, so it's going to be really difficult to do that because the blades are kind of pointing and there's blood. You know,
I don't want to go around her. I just don't want to step in the blood directly. Like I don't want to go back the way I came.
You wouldn't be able to get through to her right now because she's kind of like on the other side of the blood as she's kind of catching her breath for just a second.
Okay, then I'm just gonna throw a knife at her face while she's trying to catch her breath.
And with that, we're gonna cut back to Steam. Have you number crunched it all yet? Because I know that's what you're doing.
Maybe. Without taking my eyes off the little girl, Steam would say,
"Is this one under your control, old man?"
My query is with you, old man, you hear the little girl say. And he hasn't turned around. He's still watching what's going on.
Steam looks her right in the eyes, and he says,
"My dear girl, when you put a blade to someone's back, it's like this."
And he crits into the old man's spine.
Crits what?
Prowess.
No,
I'm sorry, prowl.
That's not what I asked. Crits or what? What action do you actually take? Like you said, I crit into his spine. What the hell does that mean? Describe it.
Out of nowhere, a blade appears and he sinks it into the upper of the skull of the old man, avoiding any potential armor he might be wearing, and drives it into his brain cavity without looking away from her.
Excellent.
What's the action? What's the thing that you have? I'm just curious.
He just said a prowl, right?
Stab him.
I thought you like a blade appeared and stabbed him in the neck, and you were like,
I can pull him out anywhere. So
okay,
level 7 wizard.
Yeah,
11. So
because you're facing her. I forgot. I was like, how? Okay, never mind.
I'm so confused now, you guys.
He's talking to her, pulls out a knife, and keeps staring.
I'm staring at her, and I say,
"If you're going to stab someone in the back, make sure you do it."
Boom, and he just jams it in the back of the guy's head.
Welcome to How To Basics.
Right.
All right. This is going to be fun. I'm going to love this. This is going to be great. Are you ready for it? She giggles and attacks. And you are going to need to roll to resist.
Okay.
Because she comes in, blade first, for your throat.
Okay. Is she like Harley Quinn giggling?
Oh, yeah.
Like not Mr. J.
Oh. Mr. J. Okay, so I used a crit to.
You can use your other crit here because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. She's going in for blood. She's going in for the jugular. So when and she's a skilled fighter. So she comes in, stabs at you, kind of slices you right here, and you're going to take level 2 harm.
Okay. So
because you've already done your action and you've got this blade in this guy's thing. You're kind of exposed, buddy.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. That's fair.
I'm sorry. Is this game about being fair?
So, no, prowess. Okay. This is the first time I've had to do this, so I don't want to fuck it up.
All right. Sure.
I'm resisting this, and what was my question I was going to ask here? She's attacking me, so do I get any type of bonus on this other than the prowess die that I had?
So, do you have any armor?
Oh yeah, I'm wearing armor.
What kind of armor?
Light.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, light armor reduces level 2 harm to level 1, or reduces it by 1 level of harm.
Right.
So immediately, instead of taking a huge gash on your neck, right? It's maybe she she scratches you and kind of bruises you or whatever, right? You're going to be bloody or whatever, rather than it being some sort of like she nicks a tendon or something, right? So that there's already that reduction right there. So from level 2 to level 1. And with that, you're also going to mark that until you get your armor taken care of again, you lose the benefit of that armor because it absorbed that harm level.
It has to be a downtime action it has to be the next downtime. It can be like magically repaired or whatever.
Right, exactly. It's something where you lose the benefit, narratively use the benefit, you lose the benefit until the next time you guys take a short or long rest, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Go ahead.
I get to roll to resist first, and then I believe you said that the table rules were if I wanted to after the roll, I could use a crit. Isn't that what you guys told me before, or am I thinking of something else? Since I'm
you can roll first and use your crit. That was decided.
That was a table roll.
Okay. So I don't get any bonus dice for this.
So let me ask you this question though: Is this the point where you want to think about using your crit? And here's why I asked this. Because she came in for the attack, giggled, came in for the attack. You took level 2 harm immediately. Your armor absorbed level 1, right? So really, only with level 1 harm, you're just taking a negative to your position at this point, right? It's 1 negative position. I mean, is this a kind of thing where you even want to roll at this point and not necessarily respond?
Well, yeah, I was going to go ahead and straight roll and see how that played out, and I don't necessarily want to use my crit at this point, but I need to take care of this little person in front of me before we.
Well, so you're only taking level 1 harm based on your armor. Is it even worth you actually making the roll to try to resist? Because what you are going to do, because OC hasn't taken any damage yet, right? And the reason that she hasn't taken any damage is because of the way the attacks have been played out. This girl went for the jugular, literally. So she is going to do damage to you. So what your resistance means you're taking stress, and I know that this is important because of your special abilities.
Okay.
Because your special abilities all are about spending on stress. You rely on your stress pool significantly. Okay, that's why I'm suggesting that you think about whether you want to actually roll to resist this.
Oh, okay.
If it was level 2 harm, absolutely, because you definitely don't want to go down to this little girl, because she's just gonna sit on you and laugh at you as you're bleeding out.
Right? I don't want. That's not the way Steam wants to go out. That would really suck.
A god must be hilarious.
Yeah. Wow, he turned out to be a big wimp. Right. Okay. No, I totally didn't know about the stress thing for resistance. I'm sorry.
Well, but so it hasn't come into play yet because OC hasn't taken any damage whatsoever. That was because because Mylera stepped up her attack. Gotcha. When damage would start to come in.
Okay. Roger that. Yep. So then in that case, I will just take it because of the armor, save my crit, and right? Is that what you're saying? Or
you can just take the hit. Your armor will take the level 2 damage, level 2 harm, and reduce it to level 1, and we'll call it bloody. Right? You'll have a nick that kind of bleeds, but it really is not doing anything else except make you uncomfortable, which would put you in a position or put you in a situation where you have the effect of -1 position. Right? It would make your position just a little bit more difficult.
And Greg, if it makes you feel better, it makes me very uncomfortable when my nick bleeds too.
Okay. Yeah. Good. That makes.
Did you say my nicks or my neck? My neck.
I hate it when you use your own name in sentences. I just realized that.
I do have like a.
You're fired.
Yeah, I do have a bunch of ups in position too, don't I?
You do have some ups in position. You have, according to the table, you have 1. Sorry.
Oh, well, that's not a bunch, but. So okay, yeah, he'll take the shot and he'll just stare at her as she cuts into his neck and pull the blade out of the old man and just look at her. If she is proceeding to continue her fight, then I'm going to take an attack.
Kill a kid. Kill a kid.
Kill the kid. Kill the... I thought it was a chant. You stopped.
I'm going to leave her alive, just not happy about it.
So with that, she slips into the ghost field.
Let's dance. I knew that's how she got up on me.
It's the football game all over again. The winning team. Take your anger out.
And so when she does that, we're gonna switch back to OC.
You scored on my son. Prepare to die.
I would love to see that.
All of a sudden, I'm Barbosa.
Prepare to die.
I wasn't going for that, but way more badass.
Okay, so back to OC. You throw the dagger at her, but that was intended to be a distraction, and she is
not if I'm not attacking because there's blood all around her and I'll slip. So
Okay.
I'm going for like the neck now, like the chest or neck.
All right. So in this particular situation, I don't know. Okay, so guys, let's talk about this real quick because I'm a little on both sides about this. I think it's a controlled situation because none of the other individuals with their swords out are actively engaging. They're leaving this as a fight between OC and Mylera. So OC kind of taking that dagger and just kind of throwing it at her seems like a more of and Mylera being wounded, as I described before, she can either up her situation to basically be controlled, or it can be to greater effect.
Standard
right?
effect.
The only way that it's risky is that maybe the pool of blood is kind of getting to OC, and so I imagine as she's throwing it, she might step into the blood and it might cause her to slip a little bit.
Well, that's why I'm not using my sword. So I either want to use my sword if there's blood on the floor no matter what, or throw it so that I'm not in the blood.
How far away is she?
So I would assess the situation and then do one or the other.
We're talking a couple feet or like right next to each other?
Yeah.
We're talking probably 10 feet because the momentum
She's not
of
gonna have a pool of blood going that far, unless she's gushing it out.
There was a guy behind her too.
Nicked the juggler. So she nicked somebody as he was going down, and there's a pool of blood coming because she nicked the guy on the jugular, right? One of the people that was standing, essentially in the ring around, that's the person who's currently bleeding out. And that blood is just coming out in gushes, and it's spreading across the floor quickly. So again, it's the kind of situation where I believe that it's more than likely controlled, but I'm looking to see what the table thinks.
Yeah, because I don't think the blood would reach her if she's that far away, because it's not a...
No, it would.
I would say
it would. I'm reading how
would
far
be
blood can squirt. I shouldn't have Googled that because now people are going to think I'm a serial killer.
So I would say
30 feet. 30 feet.
But that's in a direction.
Yes.
That's
So I would say
He's
yes.
also, isn't he also
it's
behind
risky.
her?
Yes, it's risky because not only is there a pool of blood coming in front of you, but Steam just stabbed a guy in the back of the throat. So there's a pool of blood coming behind you as well. So you're kind of surrounded by blood right now.
the floor is blood.
Well, so I'm going to assume. Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on that and assume that Steam, using his crit, got the guy at the base of the skull in just the right way, so he didn't nick the arteries, and there's not a lot of blood that's going to come spurting out of that.
It's just the spine. There's
Right.
a little crack.
I have a question for OC.
Maybe there's definitely going to be blood coming, but it's not going to be one of those gushers. Unless Steam, were you looking for that effect?
So you know what?
No, it's not like Kill Bill.
OC is actually going to use the blood as a slip and slide and slide into this chick under her with her sword to try to push it up into her.
Oh, it's
While
cool.
she's distracted and she can stop herself with the feet of the people around the circle because like
This is
they're not going to
disgusting.
let her go anywhere. She's not
Okay,
trying to
so-
escape the circle. She's just fighting in the environment she's been put in.
Right. You're keeping up with the fight. So
Fucking slip and slide.
I didn't know how else to describe it.
I just want to make sure I understand this because that changes the position. Right? So it's almost as if instead of it being a dagger throw and it being a very controlled situation where you've got a clear shot at her.
Well, is it controlled because of the blood, though? That's what I was asking.
Well, so I was suggesting that there was an opportunity for risk, that it could be risky because the pool of blood is beginning to spread across the floor very quickly, right? When I don't know how everybody throws knives, but when I've thrown a knife before, I actually step into it, right? And it's probably not the proper way, but I'm an idiot, and that's the way I throw it.
To be fair, though, she was probably already in sword stance, so she's not moving her feet because they're planted as if she were going to, you know what I mean?
That's
she's
fair
not,
enough.
So she has that stance already there, and she's just using that stance to throw.
That's fair enough. Okay. However, I really like the idea of the bloody slip and slide. It's really kind of a cool visual. I think you should go for that.
Can I have a +1 for a cool description?
I think you can get a +1 die for a cool description, but The position definitely is risky. Bordering on desperate?
Is it a great effect? Because I'm about to kill her. If I can get up under her into her gut, which is where I'm aiming for. Standard?
What do you guys think?
This
What's
is
the table think?
This is what
Well, so okay, what do you
If
guys
it's standard,
think?
that's fine. I just want to know so I can.
Well, I'm
know.
asking the table because I'm kind of curious what everybody
You're
thinks.
getting a lot of feedback.
Are we looking for effect? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd say it's great because she's already hurt, and this is in front of her people, and she's doing a badass move, like something out of Into the Badlands.
And she's also distracted.
Yeah, I mean, she's grabbing at her neck. There's Kill Bill shit flying everywhere, and she's gonna slide into her and stab her in the areas below. She can't see that shit.
If I
coming.
crit, I'm hitting her right in the vagina. Instant kill.
Right, I was gonna say, man, that's a death blow.
You do not have any more children.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
I had a fuck this sword comment, but I decided to just go away from that.
that's where I thought you were going to go, and that's where I thought she was going to go when she said vaginas.
As she's just sliding across the floor.
Okay. So I guess we're going for risky great
Okay.
with a +1 for being awesome sauce. Doing the awesome the bloody slip and slide.
I got a 4.
Well, you got a 4, but that's still not bad, right?
She can't have
So-
much left, man. Right?
Well, okay. So when you slice at her, as you're kind of doing this slip and slide thing, where are you slicing for?
As she's trying to steady herself or whatever, swiping or whatever she's doing, I want to go into it so it sticks in her.
Okay.
And then my defensive later, whatever, is going to be push off of her with my foot to push back and slip and slide in reverse. I'm trying to just get away after I.
Okay. So here's what I'm imagining, given the 4, and tell me if there's anything different that OC does based on this description. So OC just goes for it and realizes that she needs to end this now, and so you go immediately, I guess, feet first.
She's on her knees.
Okay.
She would
so you,
get the 2 steps that she could get before the blood, and then.
all right. So you take your 2 steps. You go down on your knees and you start sliding, and you come in and you stab her. Right. Okay. So the blade goes into her gut. It just goes. It's like slicing butter. It just goes straight in, and as it's kind of, causing her to push forward, OC continues on, and her blade is kind of swinging Mylira's body around as she's kind of coming around, and Mylira, given the consequence of the 4, takes a slash back at OC, and OC is going to take level 1, bloody, essentially, harm. So it's going to be a slash.
Yeah, she doesn't think there was enough blood anyway, so she's good.
Right. So you get slashed, right? So you're going to take level 1 harm. Do you have any armor?
Nope.
Do you want to resist this?
What does that cost? 2 stress?
It costs you roll your resistance, and this time, because you're getting damage, you will resist at least 1 level. You resist the 1 level. So from level 1, it'll take you back to 0, but your roll will determine how much stress you actually take. So it'll be 6 minus whatever your highest die roll is.
I'm just gonna take the level 1 harm. I'm not worried about
Okay.
it.
All right. Fair enough. So the slice comes on. So now any roll that you make throughout the rest of this until you get that healed, there'll be a -1 position. So like your position will be affected.
Okay.
Right? So you instead of it, if it was controlled, you would be put on risky, right? That kind of
Okay.
thing. So the blade comes down, she slices, and she just, as you continue to slide past, you kind of spin her around, and your blade comes out with you, and she just kind of crumples into a fetal position as a couple of the individuals with the blades step in front of her, blades pointed at you, but they don't move beyond that, as somebody else begins to grab her and sort of drag her away. What were you going to say?
What are the rest of the guys doing in response to the old man dying?
They haven't responded yet.
Okay. In that case, Nyx is going to step away from Bowerstone. And Nyx is going to flashback. And he's going to flashback to a scene of a heavily breathing Steam and Nyx who have just got done training. Both of their blades are out. And Nyx looks to Steam and says,
Are there shirts involved, or is this a shirtless kind of steamy affair?
There are shirts involved.
I'm probably holding them too.
There are no shirts involved in mine.
That's fair. There are no shirts involved. Nyx looks to Steam and says, well then, I thank you. This will come in handy. And he reaches out and clasps Steam's hand, and as he does, you see one of the hash marks appear on his arm, and then one appear on Steam's arm. And then we flash back to the area we're in, and Nyx uses the Devil's Footsteps. And following suit with OC, he sees her sweet blood slide and does the same and pops up between the two guys that appeared in front of Mylera and uses his crit and across both of their throats with the blade, the Bane blade.
Okay, so let me ask you this question real quick. Why did you use Devil's Footsteps?
Because now all of my enemies are now confused and attack each other. And my enemies are all of these people in this room. All of the red sashes.
Anyone that's aggressive towards him or his allies.
This is the last time I take any of you guys out anywhere.
So it says, if you maneuver to confuse you maneuver to confuse your enemies so they mistakenly attack each other. I am saying enemies are red sashes involved in this fight.
Anyone who wants to actually intervene with the fight that's going on right now.
Right. So when those two stepped up, they did nothing to actively engage OC. They just stepped in front to defend.
It doesn't say that they have to actively engage anybody. It says my enemies. So it's whoever Nyx determines as an enemy.
When you push yourself, choose one of the following benefits. Perform a feat of athletics that verges on superhuman, maneuver to confuse your enemies so that they mistakenly attack each other. Okay, so you're saying that these two guys are your enemies.
I'm saying that any red sash who I deem my enemy, is it easy to determine who's a red sash and who's just an Aruvian sword fighter?
Everybody in this room is clearly red sash.
Okay, then yeah. Everyone.
What about all the people with the swords sticking in the middle?
Yeah.
Just those people and the two guys.
So whoever is affected by this ability, I'm not sure a number on a crit. I'm not sure what the number would be. But those people become confused by my display of throat slashery.
Yeah, let me I want to read. So Greg has said a couple of things in the past. I just want to double check this.
Johnny, if it helps you at all, when Louise and I were working up sling and steam combo type stuff,
right?
We came to the conclusion that using Devil's Footsteps, and she has a suppress ability in one of her attacks, right. We were able to get per 6 rolled 8 people. So if we crit, we could get 16. Why would you
get 16 from 6 when you crit?
Per 6. Well, I would assume that it would double up with the crit like everything else. So
double up with a crit would be 12, not 16.
No, 8. Did I say 6? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said okay. You're right. You said 8, so you're absolutely right. 16.
But like I said, I can't pull that up. Like, I can sit here and flip through stuff, but.
Well, so here's what it says in the book. If you maneuver to confuse your enemies, they attack each other for a moment before they realize their mistake. GM might make a fortune roll to see how badly they harm or interfere with each other.
Mm-hmm. So the crit is to kill the two guys, and the move is to confuse the rest of them.
Yeah, he could basically use his supernatural.
No, that was a question. Yeah, sorry. Okay.
If he was using the Devil's Footsteps for the purpose of like a supernatural, godlike ability to move across the room, he could like flip over there and then kill them.
No, he's basically doing it. He saw OC be moderately effective in the blood slide, and he saw that Steam disappeared because they were standing next to each other. And he saw the girl disappear because they were standing next to each other. And he said, well, shit's about to go down. Followed suit with OC, slid, popped up, knifed the two that are trying to stop OC from killing her quarrel.
Save her for me.
Steam has not disappeared yet, by the way.
Oh, that's right. He saw the girl disappear then. So he basically uses the crit is to kill both of these guys with one blow. and then everyone in the confusion of the blood spraying out of these guys' throats as the third guy is trying to make away with their leader. That's what causes the confusion, and everyone sort of runs into melee, and it's a swirl of swords.
Narratively, it makes sense because my Lyra accidentally just killed one of her own people.
That's also true.
And the other guy got stabbed in the neck.
And
pretty
the
easily.
other dude just got stabbed in the neck too.
You would know that in duels like this, OC, that those are a consequence of the duel, and that she wouldn't be held. She wouldn't be held in a negative light because of that. Sometimes that happens.
No, I'm fighting her to the death. I'm fighting her.
I understand
for...
that, but what you just said was that she attacked one of her own people accidentally, and that might be a.
I meant the chaos. I didn't mean that they would be upset by it. I just meant there's a lot going on.
Okay, so yeah. I think what I want to do, if you're gonna roll, you're gonna use your crit to. Okay, so to be clear, you're engaging the ability, and then you're critting against these two individuals. Mm-hmm. That's okay. I'm definitely going to roll a fortune roll to see how pervasive this is, and we'll go through that.
How people interact?
Well, it's definitely going to affect those immediately around you, right?
Well, so are those two dead?
Well, with a crit, I would assume so.
Right.
But I'm just setting. Well,
here's clarify.
Here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to set up what we're going to do mechanically, and then I want you to describe what happens after they get how do they die? Because you just killed them. Yeah. Describe how they die and what happens right around you, and then we'll roll the fortune roll to narrow or to figure out how pervasive that is.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and describe us what it's like when those guys die.
Yeah, so basically that's what happens. He flashes back. You see that scene play out. He looks to Steam, nods, and then he takes a running start and then slides down the transporter when Jason Statham slides through the oil. He slides through the oil and then pops up and slashes across both of their throats with the Demon Bane blade.
Okay.
And the icy cold black blade just sort of... And you just see both of them just get cut, and then it sprays out. And while it's just basically showering him in blood, he leans back and looks to OC and says, "Now finish her."
Finish her.
So let me ask you this question. This is the first time you're using this blade against a normal person, right?
Sort of. No. Unless the men who attacked the opera house were not normal men.
I don't remember you using that blade there, but okay.
He didn't bring his hook, and he fought besides Bowmore.
That's right. Okay, all right, great. So the blade slices through, everybody sprays, you look back at her. Now narrate for us Devil's footsteps.
So basically, when he looks back, blood is just showering over the two of them, because I assume they're standing pretty close together.
That's gross.
Yeah, it is pretty gross. Never shower with OC. So the blood is spraying out. You have the confusion of one of the red sashes looks up and is panicking as he just sees two of his allies cut down as he's trying to save my Lyra. At that point, some of the other red sashes look in and begin to move forward towards that scene to save her, and then someone notices the old man, corpulent on the ground, and that's when they just become this tangle of melee where everyone draws a sword, but they're all fucking all over the place because there's too many swords in one small location. So they all just begin to rush towards the center, and that's where the confusion sets in.
Okay, so immediately around you, there are the one individual who's dragging my Lyra away as she's kind of dragging in the fetal. She's being dragged in the fetal position. Isn't affected by it because there's no intent to attack, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. That person's entire motivation and thought is all about safety. So that person doesn't step up. It doesn't engage. But immediately around that, the blades of the others dip for a second as they look around each other and begin to move towards each other. And so now we're going to roll the fortune roll to see how pervasive that initial attack is and how long it actually lasts. So let's talk about the fortune roll, guys. 1d for sheer luck in your favor. I think you guys deserve another one because Nyx used his crit, which I need to mark on the perk sheet.
Sure.
So that's 2d6 right there. What else is playing in your favor?
The element of
The
surprise.
fact that so originally there was a small pool of blood, now there is a massive pool of blood.
Also,
They're-
neither of their leaders are here anymore.
I was going to say they're leaderless.
Not for now or for long.
Yeah, there is there is now 2 full bodies worth of blood as it is spraying across the floor, which makes any melee difficult.
Yeah, the old man's getting colder and not older, so it's
Okay.
got to count for something.
So the blood along the floor is definitely going to have an effect on those immediately around Nyx and OC. All right, so that's definitely going to affect 6 or 8 of them.
Yeah. Well, I assume if you're trying to swing your weapon in blood, you're kind of slipping, and that could add.
Right, and the blood is kind of spreading a little bit, so it's going to be slippery, and they're gonna there's going to be some amount of chaos that's added by that element. So that definitely gives you a third die in your favor. What about the old man? Now, specifically, the fact that they're leaderless is another one that you guys are throwing out.
They have no one to tell them whether to attack, stand there, flee. They don't have any orders, and they are technically down one of their leaders.
That's true. The master of the school is dead, and
I know he's not their leader, but like a
Right.
the
figure.
red sashes is currently.
It's got to be
incapacitated.
demoralizing as hell.
Also, technically, if this is handled in any way like a kung fu school, if their leader just got killed for any reason, they stand down until they're given another one. And usually it's the person that killed him, but I mean, it wasn't really a super fair fight.
No one
technically
expected this to turn into what it did.
he
turned
ordered
into.
someone to kill me, so I mean,
Technically, well, he didn't order anybody to kill you. You're the
Someone
one who
was ordered to
stepped
kill you.
up. Somebody was stepping up with a blade in your back. You assumed that he was going to kill you.
I asked the old man. He didn't say anything.
He was too busy watching the challenge that
Silence
was
is
going on in
omission
front
of
of me.
guilt.
That's exactly right. His silence spoke volumes, and that was the last thing that went through his mind before.
Well, that's cute for you, but the reality is that it's going to get a lot worse. So
Fuck all these people.
So, about joining
There's not
the
enough
Red
time in the
Sash.
day. So, Steve.
all right, so three dice so far. The old man's dead. You're saying leadership is the problem here. So my leader is incapacitated, and the old man is dead. You forgot about the young woman.
No, I didn't.
I'm not talking about the one that you're in a fight with.
For the
No.
daughter.
I'm talking about the daughter that's standing next to Reymond Bowerstone.
Oh no, I've got her under control. It's all right.
I'll bet you do.
He's getting her number this whole time.
I got
her
a
postcode.
Powerstone's going to
So-
rock the socks off this place in a second.
It's
So
all right.
I had a dream about that.
literally just put this in chat. So not to forget about her, Nyx would have calculated that is a threat. She's literally standing right next to Bowerstone with the blade out. But he knows that if she kills Bowerstone, her mother dies immediately. There's no way she could survive level 3 harm with what OC's done to her. So by harming Bowerstone, by killing Bowerstone, that immediately kills her mother.
The contract. Yep.
Can I make a sway? I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that to be like, hey.
Hold on a second. Let's be clear about something with the contract. She said that the only thing that she was supposed to do was kill Bowerstone to
Right.
get the benefit of the contract.
Right. She was supposed to kill Bowerstone. Contracts
Phrasing.
are very specifically worded.
Yep.
And if that is what
That
she
doesn't mean
says-
that doesn't mean somebody else can't kill her. So
That-
if somebody else was to kill Bowerstone and she had no direct involvement, that does not necessarily mean that she's going to die.
No, it just means
Right,
she
that's-
takes 3 curse because she didn't fulfill
Well-
her end of the bargain.
Yep. I mean, they're very specific for that reason. They fuck you hard, or you just do it and get it over with. Like,
I think you guys are making it so literal that it's in her world, she is that is how she fulfills her part of the deal. Doesn't mean that Bowerstone can't die some other way. What if he was to die of natural causes?
Well, I got a question though. If you
Well, hold on. Let's answer this question
So-
first.
So with that question in mind, I then counter with So does that mean, since Sky and Nyx have a deal that is we won't harm each other, that extends to our friends as well, and our friends cannot harm each other?
They're not the exact same thing. They are in no way related in that way.
How?
You cannot harm Nyx, or sorry, you cannot harm Sky, and Sky cannot harm you.
Right.
Steam can definitely harm Sky.
Right, but then if the deal is you have to kill this person, you can't have someone else kill the person.
Who said anybody else? So it's about intent, right? Just because she doesn't kill that person doesn't mean that if Bowerstone dies, that it's going to invoke the curse.
So does he still reward her if another group is like, hey, we killed Bowerstone for you, does she not get her end of the deal because he's dead?
That's a good question.
So that's where my literal translation comes in of, okay, I'll kill Bowerstone and now you're dead. Or, it can't go both ways of us not being able to understand the contract.
Because his end was, if you kill him, I will give you this. And if someone else kills him, he cannot give her this because she didn't kill him.
Does it become null void?
Like if I kill Bowerstone, does she get
Also,
money?
she's not here to tell her to kill, so it's not even like, oh, I was involved in getting him killed.
She could have said that before.
So I think you guys are playing semantics, and I think it comes down to something very simple, right? If she does not kill Bowerstone, that does not mean that Bowerstone's death cannot happen, or that any type of action that happens against Bowerstone is going to invoke the curse. It may not fulfill the contract. Her opportunity to fulfill the contract may be gone, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to cause a curse on her.
Can I ask a better question?
Sure.
Or a different question?
Okay.
If she has intent to harm us, is she affected by this debauchery of her not being able to do anything about it? Of her like slipping and confusion, and if we're rolling anyone who wants to hurt us, her intention is to hurt Bowerstone.
Yeah. Would the daughter be affected by the confusion? The area confusion? I guess we should roll
the confusion ray, if you will.
Well, sure. Again, that's what the fortune roll is all about.
Right. Duh.
Okay.
Right. The fortune roll is about the extent of the essentially the area of effect of this, Devil's Footsteps, and subsequently how long it's going to last.
Okay.
So, to answer your question, yes, this could affect her, and she could get confused. Who knows how she's going to respond? But that's a separate question from the ghost contract. Now, let's get back to the fortune roll and let's figure out if what happens there, and then we can talk about what happens if the daughter attacks or Mylera dies or what's going to happen there. So we'll figure those as they come up. So you've got 3 right now in your favor. There is the leadership there. They still have somebody there that's in leadership. So that's definitely not going to add in your favor. Is there anything else going on in your favor?
I can think of a negative.
I don't think so. Nothing in our favor, at least I don't think.
You said that these were young, though. They're like the students. The students were young, and the swordsmen were veterans or seasoned, correct?
That is correct. And the students are outside the door. The veterans are inside.
Oh, okay.
When we came in, there were students. They left?
No, there were students that were posing to be... There were veterans posing to be students.
Okay, yeah, okay, never...
So the veterans that were posing to be students were all red sashes, and they all clearly showed their affiliation, right? You also, OC, recognized that they were feigning a lack of skill when it was not true at all. When you entered the building, you entered a hallway, and there was an honor guard, essentially, a pomp and circumstance sort of representation of the school greeting Bowerstone. Those were the students. Those were the apprentices in the school, essentially. Okay, so going back to the question, that's 3 positive, right? Is there anything else positive?
I don't think so.
All right, OC, you said you had something negative.
The fact that anything could happen if we make them confused swiping around and we're in that crowd. Confusion.
Okay.
But
that's the only thing I can think of.
That wouldn't affect the ability to be confused. That would affect future rolls, I think. Right now we're rolling to see how many people are confused.
Okay, fine then. Yep.
Right, and how long it lasts.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
So that would affect possible rolls in the future for us doing combat, I think.
Okay.
Sure, I think she makes a good point, and I'm not going to count it as a negative, but I see where she was going with it, because in their confusion, in their attack, you guys might get caught up in the crossfire essentially.
Oh no, I'm
Okay.
doing perfectly fine. I'm happy having tea and biscuits.
Good, because we're the last you're ever gonna have.
Start throwing punches, homie.
You are the Bauer bomb, right?
Shh, no, hell no.
Flashback, he's got bombs.
No, remember what happened last time? Everyone else.
Where's
had to
Nye
set
when
up
you
the
need her?
bombs.
Oh, right.
Right. So flashback. Raymond does something behind the scenes. Opens up his coat. He's got it lined with grenades.
No, he's got it lined with tea and crumpets, and he's trying to
It's that-
wine and dine this chick.
It's that one scene from Dark Knight, and he opens his jacket, it's just grenades, and he's holding a string.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Okay.
All right,
Let's-
so fortunately,
All right,
I
let's
have
do
3
this.
dice.
Let's do this.
Tasty.
Okay. So I've got one other, and I'm leaving it up to the table for discussion. So, given the circumstances in this situation, these guys are well trained. They are a well trained force. So there might be some level of resistance going on there. Their discipline might come into play in a combat situation, right? So rather than it be, a circumstance where it's obvious because they're untrained and they've never been in a fight before, they might have some level of control in this respect. They might have some level of restraint.
Okay.
I argue that we know their tactics.
Yeah. I would more
That's a good
argue
point.
that they've never been in a situation where their leaders are dead like the other groups have. So you're training, they've never been trained to like, hey, if all your leaders die, do something. They have no loyalty right now.
Well, so okay, let's take a step back and have a question. Let's have a meta question real quick, and I'm going to direct this at Mike because I know he's got the military training in your background. How would you be expected to act in a situation where, say, like your commanding officer is incapacitated? Would you be expected to step up?
Tea and crumpeted, if you will.
Man. So, first of all, are they militant or are they drug dealers?
They're not like master swordsmen.
So, like a member of the Imperial Guard may know that. So, at a minimum, like you have your individual task, and I must complete my task no matter what.
Right.
If my leadership falls, I still have a task. I complete my task, and then I seek the next leadership.
Okay.
If
So
there is no leadership at all, then I make judgment calls.
Okay. So the way that we have played the Sashes before is that they are closely tied to the Eruvian consulate and the Eruvian military that it is established at the consulate.
Okay.
So to some degree, there is a cross-pollination between the soldiers and the Sashes. I don't think in my mind, it's not a one-to-one's like, yes, they're both soldiers and they're both, red Sashes, right? I think as we've played it out on both Phantom and Shroud, the main business for the Sashes is, vice, drug dens, that kind of a thing. But there still is some cross-pollination that goes on among that.
So I would say if you're using the military angle, it would be what was their last order, complete that. When that's complete, or if it is unable to be complete, make judgment calls if there is no leadership present.
Okay, so that tells me that there is some level of discipline that they might have.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, you were going to say something though. You said something about the fact that what was it?
We would know how they would react because OC would know how they would respond. And if they are steeped in culture and ceremony like they pretend to be or are, she would know they're going to react this way if we kill the people. And since we talked about the possibility of her challenging the master, we would know how the rest of them would react. If they would either fall in line, if they'd be honor driven, if they would. So we could be prepared.
I trained alongside these people, even if I wasn't a red sash.
I mean, she would have been literally told, if this happens, do this. And
Okay, right. So, but
I would just take it away. Just to.
Okay. Well, I'm actually inclined not to, based on that argument. But the only point that I would make, I think you guys deserve your 3.
Is that OC trained with the temple, not the red sashes.
Yeah, but I trained with the red sashes in the temple, and I was around. Clearly, they mix. You know,
she would have been exposed to
it.
and possibly invited, right?
Okay.
And Mylera implied, because she remembered Oliver's sin, she implied that you had two masters, right? Or you had the Dimmer sisters, and you had the Aruvian school, and you chose to not follow either path, right?
Yep.
You chose a path in between. So she kind of implied that. All right, so we've had enough discussion. Let's just freaking roll this. Why don't we have Nyx roll this, because it's his double footsteps. So that's 3.
Five.
Nice. Okay, so that it hits most of the room, right? Before I narrate what happens around you guys, I legitimately want to know what Reymond is going to do in this situation. The tea and crumpets thing is cute, but what are you really doing? I mean, what's really going through Reymond's head? How is he going to respond to this situation? Because there's clearly fights breaking out all around you. Everybody's kung fu fighting.
And the amount of chaos, he can only focus on the one target, and that's the girl that's next to him. Everyone else is doing their own thing, and he's got full trust in his team that they're going to handle it.
What does that mean, though? If she makes a move against you, how are you going to respond?
So if she drives the sword into him, then he's
Right.
going to react by deflecting it away. Simple hand movement, hand on the blade away.
Okay, so you are going to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I am not a pincushion. I'm a puppet, not a pincushion.
Yeah, man.
It
you're
only
the
took 2
bomb.
full
Show it,
seasons
dude.
to realize it.
Snap this little bitch's neck.
All right, all right.
Puppet man?
Okay.
You have a
So-
crit, by the way.
With that 5, actually, I'm gonna throw it to you guys just for one thing, because in my head it seems like a 5 means more. That roll means more pervasive, and with the 3 and the 2 kind of picking it up, that it's not going to last very long for you guys. Do you want the reverse to happen, where it's more of a localized thing, but it lasts a lot longer?
It depends. What do you mean by last long?
I want to get to her.
Longer than a couple of seconds.
Does it last
wanna-
long enough for everyone to make an action?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Then
At least.
that's all I care about. It's long enough for OC to get to kill this bitch.
OC is going to, as all this is happening, look over at Nyx and look to Bowerstone and just nod. And she is going to, so that her voice carries through the people are doing whatever they're doing. She's not trying to get their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Do we back down from challenges now? The fight is not over. She's talking to the person carrying her away.
Person's not responding, not even looking at you. She's just dragging her away.
Okay. I'm going to throw a knife and try to hit her as she's dragging her away.
Just go stab her.
Okay, because that's an interesting thing, and I'm gonna narrate the chaos that's happening around and give you a chance to take a different option. Because as Nyx described it, as it kind of peels out, people are starting to move towards the red sashes that are in this group are all starting to engage each other. So they're starting to move in and close ranks, right?
Okay.
So it's going to be really hard for you to throw something. You might have a better chance of weaving around and actually getting in for a killing blow.
Did she drop her sword?
Did she drop her sword? Mylera?
She's holding her gut in the fetal position. I'm assuming she's not holding
Oh
the
yeah,
sword.
yeah. She absolutely dropped her sword because after she slashed you, she kind of collapsed into that fetal position, and her sword is definitely standing at Nyx's feet,
I want to...
or like it's like laid out in Nyx's feet, covered in blood.
Okay. I want to grab the sword and use it to shield myself through to get to her and kill her. Or hurt her. Or whatever. I don't care about the person carrying her. I just want one more swipe. Because as far as OC and how she remembers it,
Okay.
if you're challenging someone and it's a fair fight, I mean, they surrounded us, but if it's a fair fight, it's to the death. It's, or
Sure.
you submit, and she didn't say anything, she just left. So
Okay.
the fight is still happening to her, and it wouldn't be dishonorable for me to, you know what I mean? She would know that
Absolutely.
you could still, like, you're still fair game if you're just fleeing.
I didn't
Okay.
hear no bell.
I didn't hear no.
I didn't.
I said I didn't hear no bell.
The crows have not come. Well, the crows are starting to come probably because that one guy is dead.
Yeah,
They're
we're
gonna
inside.
A
We're
few
inside.
Actually,
guys
there's
are
three.
dead, to be fair.
There's
Inside the
three.
building,
Yeah.
I can't hear it.
We're great at negotiations.
Yeah, she's going after her.
Jane said somewhere Hocus is screaming.
Vote for Bowerstone. Okay, I still want that T-shirt. All right, so you are able to definitely kind of weave your way as the combat's going on, and move in for close ranks to get to to be able to issue a killing blow. Do you just go in for the stab or the swipe or whatever to make
With
that
her
happen?
own sword, yes.
Oh, with her own sword.
I'm holding two swords.
Okay. You
I
get
would have
up and
taken it from, I would have, like, right as my dominant, put it in my
Okay.
left, taken that so it's my dominant, stronger hand, so it's a normal attack.
Okay.
Shaking off the blood as I'm running over there. Kind of like, so it's not dripping down my arm, It's distracting.
Gross.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's disgusting. Not the
Okay.
fountain.
She hits Bowerstone with a few droplets.
You literally look like the bride right now. All I can see is like Uma Thurman, like charging the shit.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're able to get within, but with all the chaos and everything that's going on, I'm definitely going to have you roll it still.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
how
it's
do you
going to
wanna
be
roll this?
risky.
I
I don't think it's desperate, or I think it's.
no, it's definitely not desperate. It may be risky.
I would say it's controlled, but I still have harm, so that's why I put it to risky.
Well, it's yes. So there's that, and there's also the chaos that's going on around you. So you don't know how that's going to affect you, even if you are able to successfully, like you get a success. You're definitely going to be able to, to do that final blow. But there might be some result that happens because of that.
Okay.
So from an effect, I think this is going to be great.
Yep.
And the reason I say it's going to be great is because it's going to have a morale effect on top of an actual physical effect. And if you miss, right, it could also, it could have a great effect on you and your group as well. So I think that we're talking risky, great.
Okay.
Do you want to push yourself?
Yep.
Do you want a devil's bargain?
No. Nope, I lost an eye that way, so no.
Fair enough.
She's still sour.
I
I'm
can
coming
see
for you,
that being a
baby.
burn. Okay. So, roll it. That's really nice.
Can I describe it?
Oh wow.
You are more than welcome to describe it, and then I will describe the effect that happens after that.
Can I kill the guy who's carrying her just as a get out of the way?
You mean the guy that's dragging
Yeah.
her back?
He's not facing me.
Well, that's cold, but okay.
I'm gonna cut into his neck, cleave it, yank it back out, and then same sword just cut her throat,
Wow. Okay.
and then
So-
throw her sword on top of her.
Okay. So your blade comes in and slices the guy. Do you slice his neck off, or you just
I mean,
Take him
does
out.
a crit get me no head?
Sure.
So when you see me kill someone, something happens because I'm Taikarosi. It's as Steam has seen, from her midsection and mostly her back, you see, the lightning, like a little bit of like color change. She just has colorations on her midsection, which is why she always, obviously covered up.
Right.
Her clothes starts burning off at that part of her. And so it's singed, and you see it start to burn. She's never killed anyone in front of her group before.
Nope.
So she is quite literally on fire while she is executing these people.
So just to be clear, because I feel like there's going to be fanfic written about this particular kind of thing moving forward. It's just on your back, right?
It's my back and my midsection. So it's not the whole, I'm not naked, but where I would have the markings up to my shoulder blades in the back and the
Right.
sides and the sleeve, just because it's traveling now. So yes, her clothes are just torn
Okay.
in her
Fair
ninja
enough.
costume.
Okay.
Al-
So you
also-
slice.
Oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry. As soon as Steam would see this go off, Steam just rips off his goggles and just full on everything that he's got, and he screams in utter barbaric ecstasy when he sees her light up.
You're not helping.
All right, so
No, he is helping the fanfic.
listen, I showered with her. You calm down.
Hot in here.
She's
so
just
take
like-
off all your clothes.
The blood everywhere.
okay, so I like. Hold on a second though about that. I mean, I love the visual of that for Steam, but Steve's currently focused on the girl who just disappeared. I'm not sure he's looking back and watching this happen behind his back.
He
You
can
know what I want?
multitask.
I want him to be in the ghost
I just
field
want to be
yelling
clear
at
that
people are
Steve
like,
can
"There's
see like
ghosts!"
360.
Yes, spoiler alert, Steam can see 360. So.
You can just sense
It's
other
canon.
Takarosi.
Johnny just said it, it's canon. So
All right, damn it. Okay, so you slice the guy's head off, and cleanly it goes flying. The guy tips over. She's still in a fetal position. It's clear that she's bleeding from her abdomen and her back. She's in the death throes, right? When you finally stab her, kill her, or whatever, how are you doing that? Like, what does that look like? Is it just like one final, like you chop her head off? Do you basically stab a sword in her ear? What do you do?
So she is going to nonchalantly, as she's walking forward, like get a distance so she can cut his head,
Mhm.
and then continue walking. And as she looks up at her, just put her foot on her and quickly put her out of her misery. She's not trying to torture the girl. She's not trying to be rude. She just like, you're suffering and I need to kill you because I'm OC. Like, I win. Like, and just fucking kill her.
Okay, so let me set the visual of this around you. There is all of this chaotic circumstance. Just the red sashes are beginning to start to clash with each other as they're just kind of, there's this chaos, and you hear all these swords, and it's just a slow motion thing of the swipe, the OC cutting the head off of the guy and then moving forward and just kind of, doing this slicing motion and just putting Mylera out of her misery as the body just begins to relax almost immediately, as the life begins to trickle away from her.
She'll drop the sword and take her sash as well.
Take her sash?
Mhm.
Okay, so as we've described before, and I want to be just as clear about this as possible because it's different for each red sash, right? Every red sash has a slightly different way that they represent that they're a part of the red sash. It's not just an actual sash itself. We've had that in canon since like season 1. For her, it's this sort of like a pendant with like a ribbon kind of on her chest, and you kind of just slice it with your sword and kind of nick it off of the front of her chest, and it just kind of you pop it up and you're able to grab it out of the air. And the chaos is still kind of going on around you. And before I describe what happens next, I'd like to know what the rest of you are doing.
Rethinking his team.
What? Come on, Nix. Come on, Steam. What are you guys doing? Because apparently Bowerstone is still on tea and crumpets and trying to get a date.
Steam is moving closer to Bowerstone, and he is not slipping into the ghost field. He is attuning. I want to just be able to see this little bitch running around. And as he's moving around, he's saying,
Getting tired yet? I'm not.
so can I see her?
Attune. You have to roll it.
Okay, risky? Or...
Oh, absolutely. Because you don't know where the fuck she is, and there's chaos going on around you.
Effect standard. What do I do here?
I
would argue for standard or great because of his relationship with the ghost field, since he spends most of his fucking life in it. But I will go with whatever you say.
Well, I think that standard makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Yeah, because there's
so I mean, the only reason I hesitate in thinking about great, because I also agree that there's probably some of that there. Would you be able to really focus given all the chaos around you? Now, granted, you have the ability to double footsteps, right? You can do that. You have done it before in your past, I'm sure, right? Because you have that ability.
I can go into Ghostveil, yeah.
Right, but so when you attune, would you be able to? Would you still be able to focus given everything that's going on around you? I mean, would you have like greater sense, or would you really only be able to kind of focus on what's really right around you? Because it really isn't about it's about an area effect kind of a situation.
Right. I would think of it, and Tren would be the expert on this, but I would think that in attuning in a situation like this, it might not actually be like a full-on 3D rendering of the area as much as a sonar, and he could get a ping off of her, like locate her direction, because everybody else is not in the ghost field. She is in the ghost field, so she's going to show up differently, moving like bodily through the ghost field. So he's looking for the ping to kind of orient himself to her. And like I said, I know Tren's out there. I'm not sure if he agrees with that or not. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to just slip in and see her walking around. I think I would get a pretty good idea of where she was in the room.
Okay, so you haven't slipped into the ghost field, or you don't know what else you're going to find there. Number one, and number two, there are dead people, and that's going to have some. They're not going to rise, right? They're not going to rise. That's not an immediate situation, right?
Right.
But there is going to be some tangible difference in the ghost field because there are people dying around you.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
She would be affected by that as well, though. That would.
You are absolutely right, but she's already in the ghost field. She's already slipped in the ghost, essentially using the ghost veil ability, and so she's prepared for it. Maybe this is something, there are any other possibilities here. All I'm trying to clarify is where you think you're going to be. So I think we should go with great, because I think that makes sense.
Okay.
If she's accustomed to get into the ghost field, she would also know how to hide in it. He's got a fair point, but I'm still going to go with great at this point since I already said it.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll that. And do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
No, I'm just going to do a straight roll. Let the dice fall where they may.
Go for it.
I know exactly what it fucking is.
Nice. So,
Holy crit.
She's not in front of
Let's
you.
take a little moment there.
Fuck you, bitch!
There's nowhere you can hide.
That's right.
You guys are doing. Is that our third crit tonight? Is that right? Is that the third crit?
That's a third actual
Give
crit.
us the sashes.
Yeah.
That's a third actual crit, not to mention 2 paid for crits.
You know what? Fuck you guys and your successful RNG tonight. God
What
damn
happens
it.
when you practice your trade?
So where's your little girl, Johnny?
She's standing in front of Bowerstone, ready to attack.
I told you she's going to come and cock block.
She moved around. She immediately moved around you, is moving towards Bowerstone because she knows that that's who you're protecting.
Okay, so I said that I was moving beside Bowerstone.
Absolutely.
So
You've got an opportunity here with that crit. You have a fucking perfect opportunity to do something.
I slip in the field.
Okay.
And I don't kill her. But I take her right hand.
Make an attack. Now, wait a minute. This is great. This is the first fucking time we've ever done this. This is going to be beautiful. What roll does he have to roll for this?
When we're in the ghost field together, I would assume that it's almost like planar travel in D&D.
You're holding hands. Is there a romance roll?
Sway, I believe.
Is there a steel slave's girlfriend's
Consort?
roll?
No, different
It's
girl.
Mr. Steve.
Cock block roll. Got it.
Mr.
There's a
Steve.
difference.
His girlfriend is next to him.
This is not the tea and crumpets girl. This is the little bitch that tried to stab me in the back.
Yeah.
Yes,
This is the little lurk that
Bowerstone will take what he can get.
I'm making the rounds. I had 40 contestants, now they've all fucking gone.
Oh my god, this is fucking brilliant. Holy shit. Okay, so that's a legitimate question here, guys. This is the first time we've ever seen
Ghost on
combat
ghost
in the
action.
It's either skirmish or attune.
Yeah, I would say
To me.
if they're both inside the ghost field, I would say skirmish. If it was one or the other, if
He
it
already
was on either
attuned, so it's
sides-
skirmish now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me, but it's just the reason I'm asking the question is because this is the first time we're doing it, so we have to set precedents of some kind. Right?
What do you have the most pips in?
Well, I think
Dude.
so in that on that note, Johnny, I think it would be circumstantial. Like Steam goes in and out of the ghost field all the time, so
Right.
he would be accustomed to combat there. Whereas like Nyx just learned how to go into the ghost field, he would not be accustomed to that. So he would roll a tune. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing in there. So it would be
Sure,
circumstantial
and-
in that sense.
Well, and the circumstance plays both ways in this particular case, right? This lurk is definitely somebody who is accustomed to making, their ways into the ghost field, and so the combat would be on equal ground. So I think
Yes.
skirmish is the right one
Yeah.
for this particular case.
Okay. So you said I could roll my skirmish beforehand, correct? Unless I wanted to use my remaining crit.
I would recommend you use your crit in this particular case.
Yeah, just fucking kill her.
You can
Well,
roll
I-
and then
I
use it
can
afterwards.
roll and then do it, right?
You can surely do it, but I recommend that you don't. I recommend that you just full on fucking do it.
I
And
wanna
I'll tell
see if
you
can get
why.
a crit.
Well, I want to see if you get one naturally. Yeah, we're on a roll right now.
Okay.
We
All right,
are
guys.
we are steamrolling
I've got,
these
I've got,
enemies.
I've got
Oh
some.
no! Don't say that. Don't say.
Okay, wait.
Guys, that was
Steam-
episode 8.
Steam powered. Choo choo, motherfuckers.
Okay.
Enjoy your stay.
Okay, so Johnny, risky or controlled? Since I know exactly where she was, she has no clue that I pinpointed her. That was a fucking crit. I know, like, I know where she's been and where she's going, and
Her address.
yeah, I know her Live Jasmine account.
So knowing where she is different than, having complete, having a situation where your attack is going to, clearly make it. So there is this.
Right. Basically, here's what Steam's doing. He's staring off in this direction with Bowerstone, like maybe right here, as she's approaching from the front, and then he's just going to enter the field, swipe out, and take her hand off.
Would you say that attuning to the ghost field is kind of like tuning a radio, where you got to get the frequency just right?
Yes.
So if he
We've described it as such.
Right, so if he sees whatever frequency that she's on with a crit, can he go just slightly less or just slightly more? So it's essentially a stealth into the zone, into the ghost field? So she wouldn't see him coming?
She wouldn't see me coming with that crit anyway, man.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Well, that would be the advantage there, is you would be invisible to her, at least until you slice her fucking hand off.
Yeah. If she's smiling.
No,
after that.
I agree with risky, if that's what we're arguing. I think that it should be risky just because of the peripheral environment.
There's a lot going on too. Yeah.
There's a lot
makes
going
sense.
on, right? But I think Mike's point is interesting because it may not necessarily just be the fact that she's not attuned to where you're coming in. Like you're not there. There's that kind of phasing in kind of an effect, and that would also imply her arrogance and her ability to make this attack on Bowerstone that she's going to. So I almost think that control makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Right. So I'm gonna go with that. However, given the fact that you're going for just her hand, I'm gonna say that it's a limited, unless anybody can think of a reason why it would be standard.
No,
Because it's a very focused attack.
Okay,
Are you
so-
going for the hand that has the weapon in it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then
yeah.
I think it would be great because you're saving his life. I mean, you're not. It's not like you're just cutting off the other hand. You're now stopping her, startling her, throwing her off. She has to now react.
Well, I would definitely argue for standard because the prior attune roll had a great effect, and that was a crit. So I should be able to get the drop on her, and that should kind of what would have been a narrow target should become a more.
Did
broad
she
target.
know that you were even able to attune to the ghost field?
Probably not. Unless they've been researching this.
You got to say that line. Let's not.
I fucking love Drift.
Yeah.
He's the best person on this mud ball, man.
I don't think her ability to know that he can do that surprises her any more or less than him just sliding in super stealthily. It's still a surprise. It's not like a double surprise.
So I'll tell you from a narrative
Surprise.
perspective.
Yeah.
I'll tell you from a meta narrative perspective. They did not know that he was a lurk. They would have prepared for this particular situation, and given she may not have known that you were specifically a lurk at that point, but the fact that you're attacking, in fact, that could be her arrogance and their arrogance, and that's what plays into the crit and making this a controlled situation. Is that she thinks she's playing on with an advantage, and you're playing on equal ground.
And
Or
I
an
haven't gone
advantage.
into the field yet.
Yeah.
I haven't gone into the field yet. I mean, there
Right,
are
exactly. So I think honestly that's what's going into here is like you're playing on equal ground, and that's unexpected for her. So I think that great actually makes a lot of sense. It's not, and because it's a called shot, it's not going to kill her, but it's definitely going to put you in the advantage on the next attack, essentially, right? But you better frickin' crit on this. Otherwise, there are levels of failure that could be awesome.
I set the Tigorosi standard.
Let's just say I'm not going to crit no matter what. But bonus dice. She's not expecting it. I think
You've already gotten that. You've already gotten a lot of that from the controlled and great effect.
Okay,
So,
then what about I get a bonus from the great effect from the attunement?
again, it's completely unexpected on her part. So there's not going to be any bonus dice thrown in because you're already in a situation where you're getting the best of both worlds in respect to position and effect.
What if she's not focused on them at all? She's directly focused on me.
Again,
That's all
position
been
and
factored
effect
in.
are all played into.
Yeah, I got a crit that, so it's all right. She's dead.
You didn't crit. She's not dead.
I got
You
a
got a
6.
six.
Her
A
hand's
6.
gone.
That is not a crit. A 6
Close.
is a success.
Is her
right?
hand gone?
It's a success with no downside.
Then
It's a
critically
success with
acclaimed
no
goes to me.
downside.
And my objective was to cut off her hand.
Wait, is there blood all over Bowerstone right now?
No, because she's in the ghost field.
Ghost
She's in
field.
the ghost
Just
field.
ghost blood.
So there's ghost
I've got
blood.
you. Oh yeah, it's like if you hold a blue light over me. It's
Wait,
just
say you're lying.
Well, I got to make sure that it's done.
Well, say your line.
Is it
her
done?
hand off?
Did I take her hand off?
Yeah.
Ah,
'cause it's-
disarmed.
Oh, I hate it.
I've got to
okay.
hand it to you. Very sneaky.
Okay, so when the blade,
Give
when
you
you
a hand job.
slice it off, I really want to get a feel for what happens when somebody attacks somebody else in the ghost field, because you're using your weapon, but you're using your blade, but you're using your blade in a place where the body is not corporeal, right? There's all of the spirit. So what happens when that? I mean, what is the effect? What does it look like when you slice somebody's hand off in the ghost field?
Okay, so Steam just stands there pretending that he doesn't know exactly where she is. And when she begins to arrogantly thrust the blade out towards Bowerstone, he slips into the field, moves his own blade over, taking her high in the wrist, maybe mid-forearm, cleaving
Okay.
through the arm. And as soon as that happens, the limb doesn't drop to the ground or flop around and blood doesn't appear. It just ceases to exist. It was attached to somebody who was walking in the ghost field, but as soon as it became separate from that entity, it just drifted away like smoke, or perhaps steam. And as Steam looks over at her, now in the ghost field himself, as she stares at the stump in shock, he says,
Learn from this.
You already said your tagline.
disarm!
I'm throwing it out there. I'm throwing it out there because I love the idea that to be in the ghost field, you have to maintain a certain level of concentration, and something like losing a limb would end that concentration. So as soon as you chop this and it just disappears, and you say your quip, she's like ripped out of the ghost field, like
And
crumples.
bleeding all over Bowerstone.
You are so keen for that, OC. You are way too keen.
Hold on. I absolutely agree with what Nick just said, and that was exactly my intent. So the moment that it happens, the blade slices, her limb disappears into Steam. Steam says, "Ha, disarmed." She lets out this guttural scream that only a 15-year-old girl can do. And at that point, she just phases out of the ghost field and she just collapses on the floor with her arm and she's screaming. But what does the physical look like?
Okay, here's the other thing that I would argue about it too is this is almost, and Trendane probably will disagree, I'm not sure. Wouldn't this be exactly what it was like when Steam got lashed, when he was tried to be pulled out of the ghost field by his hook? I mean, this is essentially what it is. It's forceful removal from the ghost field. So she's looking at probably some additional harm onto that simply because of what you and I talked about whenever I was going in against, I was facing shit like this too if I got pulled out of the field. So
sure, yeah. But so I'm trying to figure out what you're asking or arguing for. Are you arguing for her to be even more hurt than she already is?
Yes.
Fuck yes.
And having a more Okay, so so you've already pulled her out of the ghost field. You've already removed her good arm, and she's as she's screaming and coming out, she's lying on the floor, freaking out. Right? She's collapsed on the floor because she's in an immense amount of pain, and she's grabbing for her arm now. But so we don't even know what her next her response is or how she's going to react or move forward. So it's definitely not going to be good. Let's be honest here. It's definitely not going to be good.
Mind if I slide in here on this one?
Sure, bud.
So playing on what he said about the arm doesn't disappear or fall, it just ceases to exist.
Yes.
You know how if you lose a limb, sometimes people have the phantom pain?
Limb.
So she is clutching her hand, and it's not bleeding. It's just severed like a lightsaber. It's not cauterized. It's just not bleeding. It's just like...
It's just not there.
It's just not there. And she still feels it, and she's like looking at where her arm was and freaking the fuck out on the floor, trying to feel it, but her hand's going through it because she still feels the arm. It just no longer exists.
Love it. That's what I was going for next. Mm-hmm. And that perfectly describes her mental state as she is not able to recover immediately from that circumstance. I mean, granted, she's a 15-year-old girl, so while she may have skills, she doesn't have experience.
Now, Jinx, that's how you punch a kid.
And that feeling never goes away. She always feels as though she has an arm.
And that feeling doesn't go away. Okay, so Steam has taken care of that circumstance. OC is currently making her way, I assume, back towards Bowerstone. What's Nyx doing? Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
She's going to stand in whatever open area she can to get their attention, but she'll wait until he does his thing.
Okay.
Yeah, Nyx looks to the daughter, which we don't have a name for, right?
Yep.
And he is literally drenched in blood, holding a dagger out, and he says... Now, if you would be so kind, all of you, lay down your arms. There's someone that has something to say. And he motions his hand back.
Follow in suit, lay down your arm.
Steam just turns around.
So at that, she pushes Reymond. She's standing next to him. She pushes him aside and moves into attack Nyx.
Oh, no.
Good, this is what we wanted.
I was preparing, remember?
Oh, sure.
I was going to make a move.
Well, you better roll. You're gonna roll for to resist being pushed first.
Oh yeah.
If you're gonna make an action, so you're gonna roll to resist.
Sure.
Okay, sure. So make that roll, and you're gonna roll prowess.
Position.
I think this is risky.
Oh, okay.
The effect is going to be great, though, because it's going to put you in a really awesome situation if you succeed.
And here we go.
All ones.
Okay, so she pushes you and begins to step forward, arrogant, exposing her back to you. What do you do?
So as she went to push, she's going to, with her momentum, because she's going forward, grab her by the arm and twist her around and push her into the chaos that is the blood and shit and piss in the middle of the area.
Why is
dead
and people got it?
She starts to slip and spin a little bit and takes a second to corner right herself. Now, either you or OC or Nyx basically get an opportunity to get an attack on her before she makes her next move.
That's you guys.
Bowerstone,
get
you don't have a weapon out, right? You just have your fisticuffs.
I'm ready.
Yeah, so Nyx is out, he has his dagger out, and he's sort of walking forward and telling everyone to lay down their arms. This woman steps forward in an attacking motion. Bowerstone shoves her, she sort of twirls, and with like one last glance back towards OC, Nyx steps up and he drives the dagger into wherever this roll determines it gets driven.
Sounds great.
So let's see here.
The air.
Position is definitely controlled because she is off balance.
Sure. So I'm going.
I did a thing. I helped.
So controlled.
Controlled.
Effect is.
So that's up for discussion. It seems to me it could be one of the three, right? But it really depends on ultimately what Nyx wants to do.
So
if he just wants to incapacitate her, then it's limited. If he wants to make an example of her to the room, then it could be great, right? So there's a scale. There's a scale that we can go with.
okay, so you tell me. So Nyx has the opinion that the old man was at least someone important, if not the guy in charge of the school, right? I don't know he's in charge of the school, but I know he's a super important guy.
You know he's super important.
I know that what's her face, Malira, was the leader of the Red Sashes.
Was the leader of the Sashes, yes.
This chick is her daughter. Would I likely assume that she would be next in charge?
Okay, let's have a conversation about that at the table.
Sure.
I think that's up to Nyx whether or not he believes that, whether it's true or not.
Right, but are there enough
That's a good
things around that would point Nyx towards that direction?
You've got a referee in the back. Right, you're in charge now.
Okay, so would the Red Sashes operate in that way? As far as I understand from the way that Trindane and I have talked about Aruvian culture, there's everything that you guys have talked about in respect to sense of honor. There is definitely almost like a tribal sort of Arabian kind of a code kind of to this whole situation. Mm-hmm. So passing from father to son or mother to daughter kind of a situation, or any combination of that could come into play. But they're in an alien location. This is a city where power reigns more than blood. Like, bloodlines are not as powerful as sheer will. So it's almost it's an either or kind of a situation.
Okay. Would the fact that Nyx spent a deal of time in Aruvia play any factor in his knowledge of that?
Ultimately, I think that Nyx would think that it's going to pass from mother to daughter. Perfect.
That's all I need to know. Then he would not make an example. He would wound her greatly. He would inflict a grievous wound. But Nyx believes that if she's the new leader, then the deal OC was trying to strike needs to be struck with her.
So let's call it standard then.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, do you want to push yourself or take the devil's bargain?
Do I get a bonus die from Bowerstone? Is that what you said?
No, but you get a control. It was the position. It was a controlled situation because she is spinning an off balance, right?
Okay.
If you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain, then you will definitely get. Or I think you've got a crit, don't you?
I do have a crit, but I don't want to use that. I will push myself.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 stress for that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Does the dagger add any bonuses? I know it does to demons. Does it do anything to people?
Not people.
Okay, cool. So 1 bonus die unless someone has anything else.
I mean, of the unexpected, I guess. She wasn't exactly...
No, that's part of the
that's part of the controlled situation.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. 4 dice it is.
Light that bitch up.
A 6.
Nice. Okay.
Glad I pushed.
So what kind of an attack is this? Like what how are you grievously wounding her? So basically you're going to commit what I would assume is level 2 harm.
Yeah.
In respect to the quality of it.
Yeah. So essentially, Nyx not only slid in blood, so he's kind of got his balance about him, and he sees her stumbling. Basically, he takes a few steps forward, slides into where she is stumbling around in the blood, and takes the dagger and, just like Sling, plunges it into her shoulder and slides her foot out from underneath her and drives her to the ground, dagger in her arm. And now she is splayed on the ground, and he's holding the dagger into her, and then looks back to OC.
Okay, so as she goes down, there's this guttural pain, and you realize for the first time that all of her confidence kind of bleeds away from her, and she is a 17-year-old girl who has very little experience. As she's kind of looking up you with pain and anger and just hurt all at the same time. And you catch all this as you've got her held in the position, and you look back to OC.
That's terrible. Who's next?
He said, watching the whole thing.
I mean, Clave was
Whoa,
like 18.
no.
That is
He
the
held
baddest ass
two.
line ever, though. If the rest of the people heard that, and we just wiped out everybody that was like the cream of the crop in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes. We had this planned exactly like this.
So as that all begins to kind of come down, you realize that the fighting has stopped around you as the blades all begin to point in your direction again, as the devil's footsteps effect has worn off. And the blades are all out, and everybody is in a defensive position. And they're waiting.
OC is very slowly, because all this is happening, and she's just taking it in, as she is dragging the tip of her sword along the ground, so it makes a sound to kind of get people's attention since it's quiet now. And she's going to walk into the center in front of this woman.
Okay.
You can all lay down your weapons. We told you when we came here, we wanted to talk. You see how we fight. You see what we're capable of. This is 4 of the many. 3 of the many. She's going to look down at the woman and say, this is your chance to do better for them. You can continue what you're doing, but you are under no contract, and nor will I ask you to be under one. You run this, you run these people how you want to run them with our guidance. And you can make a difference. Refuse, and she'll just look around and wait for an answer. And then look back at her.
Nyx, you're sitting on top of this young woman with a blade still stuck in her, correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, he's like knelt down beside her, holding her to the ground, yeah. But yes.
But is there a blade still in her?
For sure.
Okay, all right.
Inside of her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the blade is still stuck
She
inside
will have slowly pulled back his arm.
Does he allow her to do that?
So that she could breathe and answer?
Oh, she can breathe. It's in her shoulder. She's fine.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
in her shoulder. Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
It's
Then.
like in
No,
her
then
shoulder,
she'll
she's ready to
then
go.
she'll continue.
Okay. So she's looking still at Nyx as she hears you say all of this. Her eyes never leave Nyx, with the blade still stuck in her and him still suppressing her. And as you finish, she gives a command in Eruvian as the blades all drop. Now, don't celebrate just yet.
What
I'll
was the
celebrate
command?
whenever the fuck I want to.
What sort of command?
What was the command?
Lower your weapons.
Okay.
But
Nyx
you
can
don't know
speak
that because
Eruvian.
can he?
Would I?
He spent more time in Aruvia after the shipwreck than he has
Right,
in
but
Doskvol.
would you speak Eruvian though? I mean, would you really speak? I mean,
He lived there long enough to pick up an Eruvian accent that he put on in season 1 to convince. Which was
Sure.
convincing
Also,
enough
wouldn't I
for-
know this if they ever used the words around me? I would know that means drop your sword or picked up enough
Sure.
to know what that. Okay.
sure, but I'm more curious about how Nyx would know. That's what I was trying to clarify.
He lived
You
there.
definitely know that, yeah, that they were asked to lower their weapons.
Yeah, Nick's
And-
lived there. That's what he knew.
Right. So with great effect, she breaks her gaze at Nyx and looks over to OC and says, "You have one day to convince. Otherwise, we will bloody ourselves against your blade until there are none left."
Convince of what?
That you are the right choice.
She's going to walk around her, looking at the rest of the group, ignoring her now. Do you choose her? Is this your choice? Threats in the face of
Blades
death.
come back up immediately. All pointed
I'll keep
at
talking. I'll keep talking to them.
They're all going to move into attack then. If you're going to keep talking to them, that you ask for their confirmation who they support. The blades are pointed at you.
She'll look.
They're going to start moving in to attack.
She'll look at Nyx for confirmation of. Do we just kill her?
Yeah. As soon as while OC's head is turning, as soon as the blades came up and they walked in a threatening manner, the blade left her shoulder and slid across her throat.
Okay.
So OC would look back to seeing.
So it's at that point when the blade slices across her throat and they all begin to kind of move in for the attack that the doors open. And in steps a rather older gentleman dressed in what you identify as the rank of a general in the Eruvian army. He's an Eruvian soldier, and he's flanked by two other individuals, and he gives the command to stop, to cease all activity. This is what OC takes as, complete stop, no more, right? And it's an incredible authoritative command. All blades drop immediately. Everybody stops and stops advancing and begins to step back and give a wide berth. The man walks up without the two individuals flanking him, and you can tell that he is also a Master OC based on the way that he walks and he moves. His blade is not drawn. He is not in any way, shape, or form going to... he's not showing you any type of threat or intent to attack. And he walks up to you and he says, "Explain yourself."
We came here for help to unite the crews and to have a discussion. There was no discussion. There was bloodshed on their side. We finished it. We don't wish to hurt anyone else. We wish to talk to whoever is in charge here or who wants to be in charge here. And to
I am
fix
in charge
Crowsford.
here.
Great. Would you like to sit down and have a calm discussion?
There is no discussion. My people are bloody or dead. You tell me that there is a circumstance where they attacked you first? I find that hard to believe. However, I can't ask anybody, and I don't trust that you haven't intimidated, of course, my soldiers. So if you want to have a discussion, please leave now. He hands you a calling card and he says, "Find me here, and we will have a discussion like civil people." When you look at it, it lists his rank as a general, lists that his the calling address with which you can find him at is the Eruvian consulate. And he says, "Now if you'll excuse me, I must attend to our dead."
She will bow to the other master in the room and motion for them to leave.
And as you begin to walk out, one of the soldiers walks up to the general. One of the swordsmen that was in the room that had saw everything walks up to the general, and you hear, "Hold!" And he's asking you to stop.
She's going to guardedly stop. She's watching her surroundings in case they issue.
As you turn, You see that he's holding Malira's sword, and he throws it to you. And he says, "We honor the masters who honor the dead. I will see you soon." And what you know about this from a ceremony standpoint, he's bestowing you a great honor, giving you the sword of the fallen, of a master of your equal or better, and essentially increases your rank within them, within their notoriety. You know, it gives you essentially a larger reputation.
Okay.
And so with that, from a mechanical benefit, you guys will start in a good position with this, whatever this negotiation process is, essentially. We'll talk about how that works in engagement role-wise. But after having that conversation, he believes you, is basically what he's indicating. So.
Okay.
As you guys all leave, the honor guard is gone. There are people rushing around, and you see that there is a wagon pulling up, filled with spirit wardens, and they're beginning to kind of disperse into the building to collect the dead. And that's where we'll call the end of the score, unless anybody wants to do anything else.
Yeah, I'd like to hide my identity as I'm getting out.
You'd like to hide your identity. I wonder why, Mr. Bowerstone. Why would you like to do that?
Because this wasn't exactly the bathhouse I had in mind.
Okay. So
bloodbath? I heard bloodbath.
So Reymond just kind of, pulls would you have a hat or do you have a hood, or how would you disguise yourself, just out of curiosity?
You're holding Nix's coat.
Yeah, exactly. I've got multiple layers of clothing. So, laundry. Let's go.
Okay. So,
As
you...
good.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
As we're walking out, Nix takes extreme care to look at all of the unique masks of the wardens, because Caius wants one.
So, as it's been described on Phantom, they are not unique. They are all the same mask. And in fact, as we've described on Phantom, all the spirit wardens, as they're walking in, they all appear to be of the same size. They have all appear to have the same mannerism. Mm-hmm. Their masks are all very much the same. If you see, you see any difference about them, it might be a nick or a blemish or something. But for the most part, they're almost identical.
Okay.
Right? And so when they walk in, they're also all carrying the exact same type of spirit hook. And when they move in as one with great enthusiasm at their effort, right? It's almost like completely motivated, just moving into the room. And so when you get a chance to look at the wagon as you're stepping out and you see the goat is a normal goat, but the wagon is designed in such a way to be able to house a number of bodies. And there is like ornate designs that are alien to you in respect to the language or the affectation or the what have you, but it just kind of decorates the carriage, the wagon, essentially. And so with Reymond hiding himself, Nick's really kind of taking in and drinking in a lot of information about the spirit wardens. Does anybody else want to do anything before you leave? Does OC want to take any other action before she steps out of the...
I don't know if I have to do a flashback for this, but can I have asked him one question while I was telling him what was going on?
Sure.
At the end of it?
Sure.
Are you aware of her ghost contract?
He would have said no.
As I expected. That's all she just wants to know, and then it'll be a point that they can bring up.
Well, right. So as you'll be aware, when she died, the mark would disappear.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
Right. I'm just being very well.
I mean, he could ask any of the guys. She flaunted it.
So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But the evidence on her would be gone.
Would it? Because it wasn't fulfilled or broken.
It was broken because she didn't complete it before she died.
We discussed that. It wasn't.
That's
Okay.
a good. Okay, so let's have a discussion about that off because we're getting
Sure.
up on time.
Sorry.
But
Sorry.
no, I think that's actually great. That's a great question to ask because it helps set the tone for I think the conversation that you'll have with this general, at a later date.
That was
So
great.
you step out into the night, into the perpetual night. The streets are not. They're filled with a couple of people kind of looking on as to what's going on, but otherwise you are all able to slip away back to where the tavern or the pub that you guys own. Okay, and so we're gonna cut it there, and we'll talk about payoff, and then I guess we'll do experience.
Sweet.
Okay, so
Completed
let's
a score.
see. Yes. Hold on just a second as I bring up this. So, what do you guys think in respect to the size of the job that this was? This was originally supposed to be a negotiation, and then it blew up.
Yeah, it sure did.
So there's going to be some serious reputation that comes out of this too, because even though you're on par with the Red Sashes in respect to their tier, you guys killed a lot of people.
Are we?
You're on par or above. I need to double check.
But so starting tier they were 2, we're 3.
Well, you are tier 2, but they are tier 2 from what the book says.
Right.
They just made an agreement with Tobias Keel.
Yeah, I wasn't
right?
sure
So
of the fact that half their men blew up in an explosion that someone caused.
Right, but so
factored into that.
so a big part of the tier numbers factor into the resources, the resources and their ability to operate, not just their manpower.
Right.
So, but going back to, so what kind of a job do you think this guy's was? Or do you think this was? Was this
A messy
small
one.
job, a standard?
I mean, it
The
started
big
out
sword.
as small, but now that now that the school's involved, the Red Sashes are involved, the Aruvian consulate appears to be involved, I think it escalated quite heavily.
And the Keel family, because they're going to be fucking pissed.
They are also
Absolutely.
There's a lot
Well,
of
they're
job
already
opportunities-
pissed. They're going to be more pissed.
Right, so
job
that's also
opportunities now.
okay. So I think we're going to do 2 steps here. I think we're also going to talk about heat real quick because you guys are bringing up really good points that I don't want to forget before we get to it. So it sounds like it's a big score then, because of there are so many factors involved. So that means 8 coin. Starting off with 2 rep. Tier coming back and forth involved. Just for your awareness, they were still tier 2, but they went from weak to strong because of the deal that went on with Tobias Keel. So they were on the up and up again. You guys had severely damaged them with both the attack on the shipment and then the attack in the warehouse. So they were at a weak hold. They were now back to strong, but they were tier 2. I'm not gonna take away the 1 rep because because you guys are tier 3 and they're tier 2, only because the job was super significant. So I think you guys earn your 2 rep significant. Yeah, I think you guys deserve it. You really do. But let's talk about heat. So that's 2 rep, 8 coin. Let's talk about heat.
Are there?
I'm not sure
What are the other factors for getting rep?
The only factors for getting rep are specifically tier.
Okay, I thought that was a few of them. My bad.
We have been playing, I think, with a couple of other ones. I don't remember what we were talking about before. I've just been trying to stay focused on, it being a tier thing at this point.
Sure.
But if you can think of a good reason, I will definitely throw it your direction. I will definitely give you an additional one if you can think of a good one.
So, does the fact that so it wasn't just the Red Sashes that got involved? Like I said, it was the consulate, the actual temple itself, and possibly the Keel, which is a unknown thing.
Yeah. So, how about we say you get an additional 2 for that?
Okay,
But those factors are also going to come into play on heat side.
I would assume so.
Okay, great. So it's 4 rep, 8 coin, or 8 coin. So let's talk about heat. What type of exposure are we talking about here, guys? How big is this?
That's fucking huge.
Yeah.
So would you call it loud and chaotic, or would you call it wild?
Because quiet. I think we handled it so delicately.
So, yeah, so that's the thing, is like it was self-contained. Like no one. Well, I mean the wardens got involved, but so there's dead. So I know that's 2 heat right there by killing people.
Right. But so before we get to that particular point, I mean, in respect to exposure.
So how about this? Is this something that the Eruvian consulate would keep quiet?
Because it would make them look bad, and I just asked him about a ghost contract. They might want to, until they find out more, at least.
Right, but so the ghost contract means that it's not a contained situation, right? Because if there's an outside... So every element of this, right? So the red sashes, the Eruvian school, and the Eruvian consulate / military involvement, that all can be like sort of the same thing. It's all contained, right? Mm-hmm. But the outside factor here is Tobias Keel and the contract.
So if the contract was, well, which is also an aside that we're going to have, if the contract is neither fulfilled nor broken, would he know any different?
He wouldn't know any different, but he would be keeping an eye on the situation.
Okay, so that would be a future thing. Right now, he doesn't know anything.
Right, but that's not how heat works. Heat works in the sense that it's, what would be the overall effect from that event? So, for example, the overall effect, the overall heat that came out of the last score, I believe, all built, was built on the fact, on the speech. Essentially, it was all built on the fact that it was a very public affair, right? And no matter ultimately what happens, the mechanical aspects of that are always going to come from that particular event. It's not like a side effect.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think again, this goes back to what I asked you before. If the Eruvians would keep this quiet because this was a fucking bloodbath in their temple, I think it would be less heat because they're actively. And if this guy speaks with the utmost authority, as you said, I think they would be inclined to keep it hush hush.
They would be inclined to keep it hush hush, but as I pointed out with Tobias Keel, is there's the factor of that he might have some.
Right. So if it's just him that we're worried about for heat, I would say it'd be relatively quiet. If it's just the one man or the one man.
Well, so it's definitely going to be a contained situation. It's definitely a contained. So right, that's 2 heat immediately. Right.
Okay.
The question is whether it's loud and chaotic, or whether it's 4 heat or more. And the reason is because there's an outside factor. If it was just the Eruvians, like I said, I would think that it's just contained, right? If it's just the 3 different elements of the Eruvian world, in Doskvol, I would say it's contained.
Yeah, but I would say since we don't know how Tobias is keeping tabs, or in what manner he would find out, I guess that would be entirely up to you. You know how he's keeping tabs. So
well, again, but that's why I'm asking the question. So here's what I'm going to do. Instead of it being anything but contained, we're going to call it 2 heat initially.
Okay.
Given that conversation, but I'm going to say that there's going to be at least 1 additional heat for high profile or well connected target because of Howard Keel.
Yep.
So that's 3. Technically, this is not hostile turf for you guys. This is where you're operating. This is where they operate. Mm-hmm. So you guys are also not technically at war with them, although the fallout from this will all depend on that meeting that you guys are in. So it's still 3 heat, but you're absolutely right. There was killing involved.
Yep.
So it's going to be 5 heat.
Okay.
A lot. A lot of...
Well, so the ultimate bloodbath, I did a private GM roll to figure out of the 38 that were left, or the 36 that were left, or whatever, of the people, another 7 died. So it was still a pretty significant, like 1/4 of the room went out, besides the 3 leadership. So
we didn't even break a sweat, guys.
You were feeling a little uncomfortable. You were feeling a little uncomfortable there. I saw your face. You were a little concerned about the rolls.
I got 2 or 3 crits.
You did get 2 or 3 crits, but you were still feeling. I could see that the concern on your face. It's awesome. It was an awesome time. Okay.
I was worried she was going to get away.
We always had it.
She was never going to get away. Let's be honest.
You could have told me we had it. I was scared for my life.
So let's while we're on this right now. Oh wait, so you need an engagement roll, or not an engagement roll? What do you call it?
Entanglements.
That's the one.
So what's your heat?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 wanted.
7. Okay. All right. Well, let me do the roll then, since we're going to do it here.
And again, we have slippery, so roll twice and take the lower.
Of course. Oh, okay,
Hey.
sure, that works.
All right, while we're on crew, let's just quickly go through crew XP.
Okay.
So we successfully executed. Man, I guess at this point in time, it could be called sabotage. It's like it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be.
Well, so
social
ultimately,
behavior.
what was the goal here? What was your ultimate goal? Was to build a relationship with the Sashes that was beneficial to both groups, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sabotage doesn't quite make sense. However, oh, it's not even a theft operation either. That's
Yeah, no, it's
interesting.
not. It's not any of our.
OC had a little bit different plans.
What was OC's plans? Just out of curiosity.
She did want to unite the groups and whatever, but she was secretly hoping that there would be some pushback.
So
She wanted
your ultimate intent was your ultimate intent.
I didn't want
was
to go
you
in there
wanted
and
to
kill
fight.
people, but I
You
wanted,
wanted to fight though.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to give you guys one for sabotage because that, if there's, and
She
then
wanted
you're
more
also
power
gonna,
in there.
right, and then you're also going to take at least one in express goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew because that's inner conflict. Differing goals going into a situation is definitely at least one. So, okay, so one for execute a successful espionage, sabotage, or theft operation.
Yep. So it didn't.
No, they are
start
not
out-
above your station.
It didn't start out with that. Yeah, okay. So no, none of that one. Bolster our crew's reputation. I think we did that in spades.
Ambitious, absolutely.
Well, yeah. Would you give 2 for that or 1 for that?
Absolutely too, because there were multiple cases where that happened.
Okay. And then express goals drives into conflict. We have 1.
Immediately for the inner conflict.
Yep.
Because there were differing goals, and I think that yes, you did ultimately go out. You did express your goals in a significant way because of the conversation, not only between OC and Mylera, but also Reymond's intent as well, and then the subsequent conversation between OC and the general.
Yeah, and I would say the essential nature would be the crew coming together as a team. Like we witnessed
Again.
Nyx put Steam in a ghost contract.
Again, yeah.
So that's 2 for that. Cool. All right. So that's crew done.
All right, excellent. So why don't we start with Reymond, since he's probably has the least amount of XP this time around.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, come on.
All right, so no disparate actions. Deception or influence? I mean, influence for one, getting that meeting started.
I also think you deserve one for deception. And here's why. You didn't move until it was absolutely necessary and hid your cards and your ability to be able to do something. You feigned innocence, or you feigned vulnerability when you really weren't.
Yes, I'm not vulnerable.
So I think that you deserve 2 there. 1 for deception and 1 for influence.
That's cool. So drives, backgrounds, heritage. I mean, if you want to go background on why he put trust in his team, because he knew they would handle it.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Drives, though, not. I mean, unless you want to put drive was for bringing them together. I mean, it didn't exactly go as he expected it to, but...
What do you guys think? That seems pretty weak on my part.
Yeah, I would say no on that one.
Okay.
Like, I would say that would be applicable like next time when we have a meeting with this general. What's his face?
Absolutely.
There we go. So, yeah, I'm happy with 3 then. And
Okay.
no vices or traumas.
Sweet. All right. So why don't we go? I'm going to go with order of coolness. So let's go with Nyx next.
Sweet. So let's see here. I did no desperate actions. I addressed challenges with calculation and conspiracy. I also stayed my hand until the last minute possible. I also killed several people and allowed OC to finish the job.
I don't know. Your flashback also counts as conspiracy
That's
too.
true.
So.
I guess that would be conspiring. So 2 for that.
Yeah.
Beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I would say maybe 1 for background, exposing the bevy of ghost contracts that litter his body.
Okay. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Other than that, I don't think so. Or maybe Drives.
That was pretty.
Drives might be training with Steam. He learned the Devil's Footsteps from Steam.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to say something interesting here about the exposure that you did with those with those contracts. All right, taking your shirt off in public and exposing everybody to those circumstances—that's pretty fucking significant. I mean, because there were a number of people in that room who caught what was going on, and you know, whether they know exactly, they can describe it to somebody who probably can figure out what was going on. So that was pretty crazy. So you deserve 2 there, definitely.
Okay, and then as far as struggling from vices or traumas, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
All right. So coming in second place, Mr. Steam.
Second place is fine with me.
I believe I have 3 or 4. I did not roll any desperate actions as I'm aware of.
Okay.
Addressed a challenge with stealth or evasion. I believe that the killing of the old man and then feigning not being able to go into the ghost field and cutting off the girl's arm count as my 2. You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I believe that my drives first off, my drives or beliefs, whenever he saw OC snap into her own Taikarosi, and he primally went himself. And then the other thing was the ghost contract with Nyx. He is heading towards something, and he needs something from Nyx.
Did we establish that you actually saw OC do...
Canon 360, you said it.
He sees 360. We heard it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's canon, but I will say this. I think your reaction was great enough that you deserve the fucking XP for it. Absolutely.
Do you want to take a flashback, Johnny, and go back on what you said?
Too stressed.
As the GM, I can do whatever the fuck I want with you, man.
He's got enough stress.
All right, so that sounds like 4, right?
Yep, that's good with me, man.
All right, and the woman of the hour, OC.
Sorry for making this DOC show.
No, this was awesome.
I didn't want that. So I didn't roll anything desperate. But deception or influence, I'd say influence at least twice because I kept trying to down the line, are you gonna listen? Are you gonna listen? Are you gonna listen?
Well, so I also think that because you didn't attack immediately, there's also the argument for deception, right? You were deceiving, you were deceiving her in the situation of I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to. So I think there are multiple arguments. So I definitely think you deserve 2 there. Absolutely.
Okay. My background, heritage, drive, belief. I was literally on fire tonight, guys. And also the background, obviously, were in where I trained growing up.
Absolutely.
And the name drop.
And the name drop.
Yeah. Hope that doesn't bite me in the ass later. It's not my real name. It's okay.
But people do. So you lived a double life for a while as Oliver Sin, and that's now canon, right? So
yeah,
that could bite you in the ass because of somebody.
I mean, only people here would know me by that name, but yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean that she didn't have a lover or somebody else that you might have pissed off. Just saying.
Fuck that bitch. She can't say shit now, can she?
No, she's dead.
Vice or trauma? No, I don't think so.
All right.
Vice
so
is fighting though. When out of my vice is now fighting now that Nai is not around.
You didn't struggle with it. You fucking excelled at it.
Okay.
Yes, but she went in there looking for it, and the rest of us didn't know about that.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a struggle because that's my argument. She was.
Well,
I was looking to pick a fight.
That's like doing a line and then going to work. I mean,
I did go to work on them with the sword.
Right. That's what I'm saying, though.
So okay, well, wait a minute. So your vice. So okay, so your vice is pleasure. We've established that you got your pleasure from physical experiences with Nai. That no longer is happening for you. You're getting your vice. Voyeurism is also out. And if you're moving towards fighting as being your vice, but you're not quite there yet, I actually agree with you. I actually agree because there's a transition going on. I think you deserve at least 1 for struggling with your vice.
Okay.
And so we need to figure out off screen mechanically what that means and what that transition is going to mean, because there are rules around changing your vice. But yeah, we should definitely work that out. But yeah, so you do get one.
I'll do 4 until we figure that out.
Well, no, you deserve 1 because it's a transition, right? You're going into a transition and you're struggling. So yes, so you get 5.
Okay.
You're trying
you
to
were
find a new
really
outlet.
struggling tonight.
Yeah, you're struggling to find a new outlet.
So you went from watching and having the sex to now you've gone down the Nyx path, where violence is your pleasure. Come on in. The water's warm.
Yeah, so as Trindane says, do not apologize for making the show awesome, Miss Ginger Ninja.
That's true.
Yeah, I just don't like... okay.
Do not apologize for making the show awesome, Miss Ginger Ninja.
Yeah, no, we had a good time.
It was awesome.
Everyone jumped in.
It was awesome.
At least Steam gave me a hand.
Fuck, that's never going to go away, is it? All right.
I'm just going to go out on a limb here.
All right,
so
guys,
that was the episode 8 of 6 and 20 of the Shroud. Let's do an introduction to get the hell out of here before she makes more puns. And to get it over with fast enough, Xmas Ginger Ninja, who are you? What are you doing here? And what do you think of tonight's episode?
Again, sorry for the OC show. But it was a good time.
Sorry, not sorry.
I had a lot of fun. We're getting more into her backstory, and I'm really pumped because there's a few more little things coming up. But
are you using that extra hand for a little pumping action?
Speaking of a few more little things, Crit Dice Gaming, who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of tonight's episode?
No, I had another pun.
Nope.
Did you just call me a fucking little thing?
Yep.
Move on.
All right, perfect. That's Crit Dice Gaming. You can find him at Crit Dice Gaming.
You practically handed him that one.
Oh man! Oh god! I'm gonna extend my hand over to Greg Grimjack. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of tonight's episode?
I got to hand to you guys. This was a really good one. My name is Grimhand21502. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter. I thought this was a great episode. I do not think it was the OC show. I thought it was the awesome show. I agree with Trendane. I had a great time. You can see me here next week. Thanks, guys. Give yourselves a hand.
Fucking Grimhand21502, you piece of shit. And last but not least tonight, Johnny, who are you? What are you doing here? And why do you let us do this?
Thanks for the handoff. I'm Johnny. This is 6 and 20, guys. I'm the GM for 6 and 20. We do this every Wednesday night here on unMadeGaming. We do it on Thursday nights over on Not So Speedruns, and then on Tuesday nights on my channel, VideostoreCowboy. I run the VideostoreCowboy channel. Guys, I did not think that the entire episode was going to get caught up in this particular circumstance, but you guys kept playing it so well that I kept throwing things at you, and you guys kept fucking doing things, and it was just like, I fully expected OC to dominate this particular situation, and then we'd move on like within the fird hour, and all of a sudden the fight's going on for 3 hours, and then Reymond steps up and does his one thing that was amazing. So thank you guys. It was really fun. I had a really good time. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Bye.
I believe next week is the ultimate episode. It's the season finale.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We should clarify that before, but yeah.
Sure. So, guys, next week is probably the season finale, so probably tune in for that, or not. I know that myself, Miss Ginger Ninja, and Johnny will all be at TwitchCon next weekend. So if you guys are in the LA area, come check it out. Come hang out with us. We'll do some stuff. We'll touch PG tips. And if you're not, I mean, fucking whatever, man.
Did you say touch tips or PG tips?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got to hand it to you. That was pretty good.
No, you used that one already. So that was an awesome show, guys. Tomorrow we'll be back with Havoc in the Hinterlands. And this Sunday, we're starting a brand new campaign by a Swedish developer called Simba Room. It's a dark fantasy, grimdark situation. Xmas Ninja is a player there. We have a few more players from the community. It's going to be a rad time. And right now we have two giveaways going on. We have one for 6 and 20, which you can use, enter on Twitter at #6and20art, where you can submit art, music, stories, whatever the hell you consider art. About the 6 and 20 universe to us for a chance to win a copy of the Blades in Dark book so you can play in your own little fucked up twisted version of Doskvol. The second giveaway is we are here at unMadeGaming are working with Elderwood boxes to make these super rad little dice chests with the Unmade Gaming logo on them. Very limited edition, very custom, very awesome. Go check us out on Twitter for that as well. Exclamation point giveaway in the chat. And before we get the hell out of here, let's hand it over to our friends Saber Dice on the Saber Dice Show. And from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.
Don't be underhanded.